complaining, but it is muddy. At least over there. Welcome, viewers. Hey, welcome everyone. Thanks for their love. The chickadees are out in full force and I heard them singing, so we might actually get some really nice bird song today. Hello, chickadee. There's our first chickadee. Hello, chickadee. Hey, chickadee. Hello, chickadee. Yes, chickadee-dee. We just get a flyby. Here's another chickadee. Hello, chickadee. Hello, my friend. Want to come over for a visit? Hello, buddy. How are you today? You having a good day today, chickadee? Yes. Hello, neighbor. They also go pitch-a-joot-joot, chickadee-doot-doot, chick-doot-chick-doot. Hey, Yami Zayil, thank you for the heart me. Welcome. Chickadees are getting really close today, and they're singing their songs. We will stop and listen to them as soon as I get to the apex of this hill. But they're really happy today, and they're all around. It's very mild today in the woods. Very mild. Pitch-a-joot, pitch-a-joot. It's slushy. It's thawing. The signs of spring are showing their face today. We're almost into March. Thank you, Mr. Tommy Pickles. And welcome, all soul friends. Welcome to all the Anamkara out there. And may we see through the lens of love on this day. The only lens there truly is. Almost at the top of the hill here. At which point, let's do an adjustment here. At which point, we will listen and find the chickadees. My goal today is to get an orchestra of them singing together. That will be the goal. And it feels like they're in a singing mood today, so we might just have a nice orchestra soon enough. Welcome, everyone. It seems feeding the chickadees, offering them love throughout the entire winter has proven beneficial. A return on investment in the form of love and appreciation. Nothing quite like the appreciation of a wild bird buzzing by your head to say thank you. Because they made it through the winter, you see? It's a big thing for a bird to make it through the winter. To not have to worry about food, where it's coming from every day, to be able to consistently count on that and just take care of your family. It's a big thing. Big thing. And it's not taken for granted in the woods or on the outskirts of the forest. Here comes the winds that weren't here yesterday. And I brought my windscreen today, so might not even be noticeable. Just a slight ambient sound. Welcome, everyone. Know that I love you deeply. I do. You are my family. I don't say it lightly. A shift in consciousness when you start to come into the aliveness of the now as an adult can be quite challenging, because it's the same as returning to the innocence of being a child or a baby in a room trying to figure things out again without defining them so much. Just be. Of course, babies are well received because they don't have any accumulated life experiences of having done things to people to where they would have grudges held against you. And besides, you just look really cute as a baby. And the movements are awkward and funny and all together entertaining. So when we come into being as adults, we start to recognize our aliveness again in this lifetime. It can be quite confusing to your past. So we are here to be compassionate towards our past, which includes anyone who we've mingled with in our life. As we come into being, we will not appear as normal or as predictable as we once were. So to be okay to the people in our world as we're going through these profound changes, which is a shift in consciousness for the relieving ourselves of pain, for the relief of pain. As we go through these steps, these motions daily, here in the woods as part of the rhythm of life, I ask that you step into the imagination as frequently as you require yourself to feel good with your day. And you might require large doses of that, okay? So just know that. You might need large doses of stepping into your imagination at this moment in time. And you're not alone. You're not alone figuratively or in this instance of example. The past holds on so that we can let go, so that we can feel what it's like to surrender to a source that is within us that serves as our kingdom of heaven. By coming into this, we experience salvation. Being saved by something that is within you, rather than being saved temporarily by relief outside of you, is a whole different thing. It's a totally different thing. And it's a feeling that is great, but it requires getting used to. It gets deprioritized at the beginning. Dogs. You like dogs? It gets deprioritized in the beginning because we're so used to being people with attachments to things that we can hold, that are tangible. This idea that the imagination gives us salvation when we can't really witness the manifestation of things directly, at least not immediately. An example would be you want a car. You go into your imagination, you think about that car, you drive this car, you embody yourself within it in the seat. It feels great. You're on the road, you're going to your favorite places, you're adding details, it's all building into something beautiful as an image. But it's not the same as having this thing before you, I get that. And you can apply this example to anything that you desire. In the beginning, it becomes a challenge, and that is why there's such a system called faith. Faith is believing that you are there in the car, that you are enjoying that incredible test drive, but it's yours. It's the first drive of many. As it is the first kiss of many with the perfect partner, or the holding of hands and the sharing of secrets that you've held on to for so long because you felt embarrassed until now. It's the same thing when it comes to that magnum opus explanation or expression of your being. Whatever it is, your perfect book that you've written, a painting, a gift that you were wanting, that you finally received. You have to get used to the idea of it existing in the mind of God first. And that is not easy for those who are attached to things, and we are all attached to things because we felt things our entire lives, thinking that that which is outside of us is the only reality. We've forgotten about the magic inside us, and we've totally neglected the imagination and believed it to be something that is useless, serves no purpose, and for most people who use it too much, they have a wild one. So that's why we pray with this beautiful faculty, this imagination. We pray with it in secret. Though I do share details with you, as I did with the car or going to the beach, they're blanketed enough to where you can feel them and you can see them, just like you would listen to a song as you're starting to learn an instrument. Let's say you're playing the piano and you want to hear Final Fantasy's piano collections because you want a reference. All I'm giving you is a reference. And the moment that you start to feel that reference and you desire something similar, you go on your own. You become like a child and you enter into the kingdom that is yours, and you make it distinctly become what it is you've always desired. But you need a reference. Without a reference, where do we begin? It becomes daunting. It becomes an exercise. It becomes too challenging. So we need that reference. That's why I'm here every day. I serve as a reference for you to step into your power. My heart space, after sending this beautiful Heart Me gift, says, beautiful day to everyone. Thank you. You too. Everyone joining, I want you to know how much I love you. Cass says, yes, we need to relearn how to be creative by stepping into our imagination. Indeed, Cass. It is the nation of images. You are the king or queen of that nation. The nation knows no bounds. It has no limits. It comes in the form of infinite possibility and is constantly awaiting your return. Every time you step into your kingdom, your nation of images, you are received by the light of God. An infinite intelligence calibrates itself with you. You forget about time, it no longer exists, and you become part of God's actual manifold expression. What follows with this is a cascading ripple effect, one where the cells of your body are immediately presented to a vacation that you've taken in the mind. They know no difference between where you are in your waking life or when you use the imagination to step into the past or the future. The cells through epigenetics simply adhere to wherever you travel. And trust me when I say, we as human beings are traveling all of the time. Anytime you step into time, you are traveling. Anytime you dream, you are traveling. Anytime you use the imagination, you are in fact traveling. Everything coming and going so quickly that you would not be able to recognize or witness the change, but you are there. And your cells believe themselves to be there too. They truly feel it. So what this says is quite profound. Each and every human body, every human being, without a doubt, has an imagination. That's a big thing. I mean, we have a lot of differences between us. It could be the color of our skin, the country where we are born, the languages we speak, the education that we've received, indoctrinations, belief systems, likes and dislikes. But amongst all of these differences, we have something that is uniform and available to all of us equally, welcome to be expanded out as far as we would like, and repeated 1,000,000 times over and beyond. This is the imagination. And from it comes every invention, every construction, everything of making. There's not a skyscraper without it. Nor is there a cell in your body without it. Everything you eat, everything you breathe, every time you take a step, the imagination is involved. But you wouldn't see it. It's the other realm of the imagination that we are never privy to. It is an aliveness. It simply feeds us expansion and restoration. It seems to care about our life. In all shapes, forms, and ways, it cares so much that it would even allow us to care ourselves into oblivion through the entertainment of things that we desire that go against the very life principle itself. It loves us so much it adheres to it too. This other side of the imagination is known as consciousness. It is the life principle that cares for us. It heals every wound. There's not a single cut on your body that isn't subjected to it and repaired. Every time you breathe, oxygen carried by nitrogen absorbs in the body. It distributes itself automatically through this intelligence. The glucose taken from the food that you eat, taken and extracted automatically, to where we as human beings simply enjoy the fruits of the labor of God. We enjoy the meal, we chew it, we taste it, we feel it in our hands, and we feel it in our bodies as satisfying and fulfilling. When we take a breath, it's no different. An inhale enriches the body, gives us the power that we need for initiation of whatever activities we desire to do, whether it's thinking or moving. It's powered by it. And there's a sustaining element of that breath, where after it's taken in, if we were to just be still for long enough, we'd see a slight movement of things. A fluid shifting and layering of what was never there before, but now is. We try to hold on to it for as long as we can, and we can't hold on to it forever, so we must breathe out. And there's a sigh of relief knowing that we no longer have to carry that burden of holding on to it. At the same time, we must also let it go. Until we want to take on those things again. This is every day of your life. This is every breath you've ever inhaled and exhaled. It's every meal you've ever eaten. It's every drink you've ever had. Every time you've taken a step or touched someone in love, there's been a beginning, middle, and end to every movement. And this is done intentionally. It forms into a chaotic rhythm that you would never be able to pinpoint or understand until you were present with it. And once you become present with it, you can no longer define it, so it stays chaotic, but it also makes sense. That's where I lose most people. It's okay. Get lost. Lose your mind. Lose it for an hour, lose it for 2. Just be. Come into contact with the earth, somehow. Show it appreciation. I've got Shilajit on my finger. That's from this morning. Golden Himalayan Shilajit. Perfect golden resin. Been enjoying that for the last 3 days, and I gotta tell you, I've had the most lucid of dreams, the most fluid of orations, and a lot of strength. Is it the Shilajit, or is it placebo? Question for the audience. What gives me my strength? What gives me heat in the cold? Amongst apparent blizzards, what gives all of the circulation through my body its power? It is the life principle. If I pay attention to it, if I believe it to be present, affecting my life in a positive way, which is simply the way of saying I desire it to do that. That to me is positive. If I desired something to not be doing something, that would be what I don't like. That would be a negative. Notice how we have to have both of these things, though. If I didn't know what it was like to be cold and weak, could I come to appreciate being warm and strong? Probably not. But it seems like many of us just want to be comfortable in some middle zone that knows no strife, also knows no advancement, yet it is comfortable, familiar, and routine. Thanks for the share. Lisa, fashionista. Welcome. Addicted to Science is calling out some terms here. It's called a redox reaction, burning glucose to extract electrons. The systems all work in the same way through adenosine triphosphate as the currency system, which is really fun. This is coming in from Leb. Great to see you again, Leb. Says, the sigh of relief coming from the out-breath is in itself an act of letting go, and that's a beautiful reminder. Think about it. Kathy Lincoln says, I was strangely getting a massage. What a use of an adverb, strangely. I think it's more mysterious to just say I was getting a massage. Right? Because it's common. If massages are the things that we like, otherwise we let them go. If you don't like something, we let it go. You don't like holding on to your breath, holding on to things that are painful, we let it go. So the question then becomes, what is the technique? How do we do it? Right. And so the example I give is the same example I give every day. It falls in line with the breath that we take. Thank you, Leb. It also falls in line with the food that we eat, the beverages that we drink, the steps that we take. If you have pain, you seem to be holding on to it because it's present in the body, that's fine. The idea is, no matter what we do, that pain, just like the breath we take, shall have a beginning, middle, and end. And there is nothing that can be done about it other than use the power of God to set in a program that it is permanently painful. Of course, that's an illusion, because anything presented to this physical world becomes part of duality, thus having a timeline. So if we believe something to be permanent here, in a physical form, or in the form of a feeling, which is the same as physical form, because it's coming in feeling, then what we're doing is we're mismanaging our power to create a belief system in illusion. There is no pain that does not have a beginning, middle, and end. There is no suffering story that also is not subject to those rules. There's also no vacation from it that's permanent either. Nor is there the greatest of all feelings that never departs, unless it becomes an idea in the mind of God. That's an idea that I'm interested in, because I hear a lot of people talking about their problems and complaining. It's not a judgment as much as it's objective proof. I see the world constantly talking about how things are wrong, things aren't working out, they're not fair, they're corrupt, and full of problems. I see people talking about their relationship issues with total strangers, revealing secrets that the partner would never want known by anyone, let alone be reminded of them on social media in a viral post. I see these things happening left and right. People complaining, gossiping, talking about their issues, complaining as if there's something outside of them that is causing all of this. Therefore, totally fine to talk about them repeatedly, as if they are permanent fixtures, not only in one's life, but everyone's lives who the story is shared with. These narratives are narratives of insanity, sickness, and lack of awareness. They're unconscious spewing of issues that are created in the mind of God by choice. And if you think that I'm lying by saying that you've created it, your pain, your suffering, then that shall be so too. Nothing shall be denied you. Anything you entertain, the power of God adheres to. And that would be awesome. We could keep on with this. But it leads to civil unrest in the body. It's called cancer or illness. What happens is the cells get tired of being exposed to stressful situations, exposed to gossip and the revealing of things that should never, ever be trespassed upon. They're constantly imposing themselves upon each other, not willingly, but because you're there, stepping on the lives of people without permission or consent. And because of this, because of all the restrictions, because of all the banning and blocking and otherwise gossip-related behaviors, because of the descent from being pure and kind to one another, the cells of the body become that. And what else is a cell that turns against its universe, that turns against its infinite power and attempts to take it over in the form of a mutiny or a coup? And the answer is cancer. Cancer does that. It forms into a rebellious faction that decides it's better than everything that's around it. And you know what? You kind of can't blame him. You can't blame the cancer. Because in the beginning, it was like every other cell. Born and made in the image and likeness of an infinite intelligence, came in love and service, and it was expecting to have the kingdom of heaven within. That was the promise, if it decided to come alive. But it came alive, and what it heard was, I am sick, I am tired, I am fed up, I am worthless, I am belittled, I am indifferent, I don't care, you think I do, but I don't, ha ha ha, glad to see it, you had it coming, better to be taken to the pastures, better to have all this happen to you for the things that you've done because you are this, that, and the other thing, all day long. And if it's not being said on social media, it's being said in the mind as the entertained feed, the Netflix that is powered by God is, let me watch more of this destruction. Let me watch more of this opposition, more of this polarity, more of this shifting back and forth. No answer's ever given in a proper way. I have to question it because this is misinformation. I'm being misinformed by all these things. This is the environment that we thrust ourselves upon through our misuse of the mind of God, through the imagination. What's wild about this is the majority of these situations will not ever happen. Not the ones that you think about in the future. They will not ever happen, and they don't happen. The moment you start to say that to your identity, which is a phantom creation, the moment you start to say this, hey, a lot of these things that you promised me, you said, you should really go think about this, you know? You kept telling me, well, if I don't do this, then I'm going to be in trouble. Or if I don't do this, then I'm going to have pain. You kept telling me, ego, that this was important. You kept reminding me that these things that happened to me in the past are because this person is this way and they never will change. Nor will I because of my condition imposed upon me by them. I must become a victim. You told me there was solution there, that you cared about me enough, that we would find the means and the way through this if I only kept revisiting. If I only kept reposting and saying, this is my condition, it's permanent. This is who I am. I'm neurodivergent. I have something different than the rest. It's because you don't understand. I've been through all these problems. Have you ever been raped? Have you ever been genetically mutilated? Have you ever been through these difficulties? Yes. My first sexual experience, I was raped. I was drugged in college and raped on the floor of a college apartment for my first sexual experience. Yes, I have been. But that's just my identity. My identity was. But I observed quite intimately the entire situation, even though I was drugged and hazy. I could still recall the aliveness that I felt when it happened. Some part of me still remembers too my circumcision. I don't know how, but the first time a woman put fingers on my lower abdomen, I jumped. Like it was something that was going to happen again that I seriously didn't want. And that was my identity. That was my identity. It was my story. And I took that story and I ran with it. I ran with it to everyone and I said, yeah, in fact, I have been through that. We can relate with one another now. I know I'm a man. I know that looks strange. I know that's different. I know it's funny. I know I got laid, I'm sure, because I was hard, right? That means I got laid. It was like blasting into a conquered city and just submitting to the enemy. I know. It was one of those things. We've been doing it for millions of years. All the creatures on this planet are doing it in the woods right now. You're going to see similar scenarios roll out all around us. We can relate to each other now. And so we use these narratives so that we can have some sort of connection with each other. At the same time, the ego uses the story to say, this is a permanent condition that will forever affect you. So you must keep entertaining it and making it a part of your life in order to be relieved from it. And that is being led down the primrose path. It serves no purpose but to perpetuate your suffering. Okay? So, let's see. Tyler says, well, let's get to these comments. Dolphins coming from Addicted to Science. Clara, thank you for following. Tyler wants to talk about the Cave of Brahman or the Crystal Palace. Yeah, we'll get to it, Tyler. Sure, of course. All right, what else? Let's see. You're all being so good to each other. Oh, that's wonderful, Leb. Look at this one. This is a line of wisdom. Argue for your limitations, and they are indeed yours. It's beautiful. Church of Us says, if channeling is a thing, rave on, brother. Thinking it makes it so, Church. It's whatever you desire. That's the beauty of having Christ consciousness. That girl's healing. Don't even worry about it. It allows us to relate to one another in ways. As identity. Hey, Amizael, thank you for these marvelous confetti. Neighbor says, I'm no longer this person. Indeed. Ricky Carter, well said. Thank you. My identity was asexual with hang-ups, says Neighbor, and now I'm no longer this person. It's beautiful. It's true. In fact, what you are, Neighbor, is you are the aliveness that is powering its potential and its ability to shift and change. You are the aliveness that recognizes it's an identity that was created, and you actually are now the owner of it. It's a huge congratulations. Because if you become the owner of your identity instead of being a victim of it, then it has to serve you rather than you serving your aliveness and truth to it. So it's the breaking of the chains and the setting of oneself free. And you see these narratives, though, they're very powerful. And we will talk about the Cave of Brahman, the Crystal Palace. We'll talk about it. Ami Zayil says, you're welcome. I am driving through Connecticut right now. Wow, Ami, we are neighbors for a time. We are neighbors for a time. And I hear either coyotes or coy dogs or people. Kanyo, thank you for following. Appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. Neighbor says, thank you so much, friend. Indeed, neighbor. Love thy neighbor. Indeed. And here's the thing, too. The option always exists for us to shift our character in any way we want. That's what the beauty is about the game of life. But the idea is we are shifting our character knowingly now. And we're making these decisions knowingly now. So anything that is thrust upon us, whether it's considered desirable or undesirable, we can observe it as aliveness now, understanding that we have a whole new goal. It's a whole new objective. The objective when you come into your consciousness and truth is to protect this identity, to keep it from going through painful life experiences, because there's an inner child there. You know, this is a beautiful temple of God. So now we start to protect our identity by stepping into the imagination, which is our truth, and imagining the identity being wish fulfilled. That's how we actually protect and love the identity that was thrust upon us. So we're taking it with now. Just like the lotus flower must take with its own little umbilical cord that goes through the stream and goes to the bottom of the muck. That's the placenta that feeds the flower. We're taking the whole thing with us. We're taking the placenta with us, and we are blossoming. That's what's beautiful about coming into being, coming into your truth. And of course, people will always recognize us in various ways. They're going to say, this person is this way. You could say, for example, they're asexual, or this person has been through trauma. They have PTSD. This person's depressed, this other one is neurodivergent. This person has borderline personality disorder. What it does is it allows the unconscious individual to become familiar with defining a person. Therefore, with that definition, there can be a separateness established. This is as far as I get, in other words. Sometimes closer, sometimes further back, but this is the general average of how close I get to this person based on how I've defined them. So as long as there's separateness between us as human beings, there's no evolution of consciousness. There has to be unity. And you can't force someone to unify. Someone has their own identity, their own personality. It's their personal decision. To force someone to be another way is the same as trespassing. So the only way that we can unify with each other is in the mind of God as the imagination, because there's no trespassing there. It's unified being. It's an aliveness. It's a childlike innocence that cares for the neighbor as you care for yourself equally, in love. That's why going there is your salvation. That's why going there is your protection. That's why going there is the resolution to all issues and the unwinding of pain remembrances in the body. That's why going there is truly protecting your inner child. That's why going there gives you immortality. This is the beauty of this. Unification with all human beings on this planet is the same as returning to where we were as children when we were born and started to learn how to play, to take a stick and believe it to be a lightsaber. It's no different. We start using props in the mind of God that become real. And we come into our innocence, we come into our wealth, we come into our truth and being, the way that it's always been meant to be expressed. And we all have that ultimate form of being. And I don't know what yours is, but you chose the attributes before you decided to compete to become human. That's called your genetic imprint. Carries with you your entire desire portfolio. And you were granted access to life. You made it to the cosmic egg against millions of competitors to be granted wish fulfillment of your portfolio. And so the life principle is constantly shining that. This is your portfolio. Just step on in. Whatever makes you most happy today, I already know what it is, for I'm feeding you aliveness to have that decision-making process. So just come on in. Come into your oasis and just be. Just be at peace in the womb of creation. Float here in the still waters. Or go skydiving. Just know that I've got you cared for as far as your identity goes. I know it was thrust upon you. It was thrust upon you. Your name, your education, in fact, all of your life experiences thrust upon you until you became aware of where it came from. This is why Jesus of Nazareth kept saying, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." They know not what they do. It's only when we come into this power of being and understanding how things manifest that we must exercise compassion. Understanding there's not a single thing that cannot be had now, that you can't visit right now and be, gives you an immense amount of relief. Sharing that with the world is foolish. First of all, people won't see it, so they're going to have difficulty believing you. So just do it in secret. And the moment it comes forth, it's the best surprise in the world, not only for you. It's not so much a surprise for you as much as it is for others, because it is apparently showing itself. People can't believe it. And they'll start, of course, questioning how this is possible, thinking something outside of you did it. Some blessing that makes you lucky is what did it, and let that be their narrative. Can't stop that either. That's what's great about it. Truly, there is no trespassing in the mind of God. In the imagination, there's no trespassing. It's your own kingdom. Everyone has one. Cassie says, hi again. Toy Stop says it'll happen too, all in time. Indeed, every seed that we plant in the mind of God into the subconscious matrix of existence is like any other seed. Some basil seeds will germinate in less than 24 hours. A bamboo tree takes 5 years to germinate underground and fortify itself. But the day that it bursts the earth and breaks that surface, it grows a meter a day. Every seed is different, every blueprint as well. So just trust and believe that faith is the driving principle between that time that is required for it to express itself in truth. But you are planting seeds in your garden. And by giving a daily footprint in the garden, this is the one thing I heard in the physical world, the best way to tend to your garden is not to keep moving the plants around, watering them until they drown. No, it's about the daily footprint. The daily footprint. You are walking into the imagination and you're giving yourself the enrichment and joy of witnessing yourself with harvest. You're coming into your harvest every day. That's what a gardener does. Comes in with the daily footprint, sees there's no seeds sprouting yet. But in their mind, they know what's coming at the end of the season. There's going to be a wonderful harvest. And you can't explain that to people who've never gardened. You can't explain that. They're going to say, what's all this dirt? Oh, yeah, it looks great. Okay. Oh, sure. It'll be a big, tall crop of grain. Sure. Yeah, whatever. There they go again. Talking about the harvest. There they go again. But you got to give yourself that daily footprint in your garden. Forget it. You got to be there, enjoying the harvest every day. And any moment. It's just a chance to go back to it. Ricky Carter, thanks for following. Trish is speaking to Leb, says sometimes it's hard to even breathe. The pain is so strong. And there you go. So it is a narrative. What we do in this, and this is an offering of a narrative that feels true with the body. The body is literally there. The cells are like, this is where we're bound up. And so the best thing we can do in love for ourselves, which give us this temple of God, is to give it some relief first. And then we can trust that the relief comes to us following that letting go. And so the idea is I start with the affirmations. Let's make these words real so we can express a field of energy through our voice and say, I am perfect health. Start to use the trinity of power, the infinite, active, and maternal. I am. Use that and say, I am perfect health. And I'm so relieved right now to know that I've come into my being in truth feeling this total release and unwinding of whatever was there. It's as if it never existed, and I'm so grateful for this. Now, this may not feel true, but for the cells, rest assured they're feeling it. Rest assured the cells are going on that vacation, and all they wanted to hear from their parent of parents is that they're not alone, they're being cared for, and here is your pain medicine. It's coming to you right now, you have it. Take your pain medicine. Here it is, cells. Feel the relief. Your parents are here. The proper guardian of your body has returned and come into being. So it is challenging, of course, and it's painful. But like anything else that I was saying that comes from the garden, our harvest, the relief for pain is a seed as well. There is pain. We're looking for its relief. The relief is the harvest. So in order for us to get there, we first have to plant a seed that has the blueprint of truth. I am perfect health. Then we have to imagine it, give it the daily footprint. And anytime we notice growth, which is the change in the reduction of pain, we extend gratitude to the universe so that it understands it's a desirable thing that we want more of. And this is how we do the daily footprint with anything, including pain management and its eventual release from the body. I say this with experience. I remember, and I've said this story before, but I'll tell it now because it's poignant, it aligns. When I was in a car accident, someone had rear-ended me at high speed on the highway. And I had some pre-existing conditions with sciatica and lower back pain that were pretty intense. I mean, lightning bolts through the body. If you've ever had it, you understand what it is, and you don't want it. So I'm hit very hard from behind at high speed by this car during rush hour. Distracted driver blasts me across the highway. Luckily, I didn't hit anybody else. But by the time I came through, and the ambulance had arrived, and I was sent into physical therapy, and there was a big lawsuit involved because it was an off-duty police officer who was likely drinking, and it was all covered up. And they just wanted to pay me so they could get away from this situation as quickly as possible. All is to say, while this was happening, I received a bunch of physical therapy, and I was going to this chiropractor, and he looked at me and he said two things that I'll never forget. Two things that were very, very poignant. He said, one, you will never catch me have a single aspirin or acetaminophen in my life. This came from a chiropractor. I will never, ever in my life, ever have. I would rather be shot. And the reason for it is, he said, it destroys the stomach lining, takes away all the barrier, and allows a bunch of crap to leach in that can do damage to the body in immense ways. And what most people do is they'll drink alcohol. It leads to the hangover, so they take an anticipatory aspirin. So you're getting the blood thinning from the alcohol, and then you take the aspirin, which kills the stomach lining, and then the whole body is just getting poisoned. This is what most people do. So he told me that he would never take an acetaminophen or an aspirin. And the second thing he told me was, you see these MRI images? You have the lower back of a 75-year-old man with osteoporosis. It's likely in 5 years you'll be in a wheelchair. Let's just try to do routine management and maintenance from what has happened. Okay? That's what was told to me. As you can see, I can still walk. This was probably 13, 14 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. I'm 46 now. My back is the strongest it's ever been. I'm the healthiest I've ever been. I haven't seen a primary care doctor for an intent to go and get an opinion in over a decade. And I'm the healthiest I've ever been. It was around that time that I started drinking spring water exclusively. introducing things to my body that no one in their right mind in the world of medicine would ever recommend, because if you do, then it leads to your permanent health. Perfect health. I've been there. So I see myself living well into my hundreds, being a centennial or beyond. In addition to technological advancements, I see this as a complete possibility now. Instead of being a decrepit, broken down man with osteoporosis at the age of 35, I decided that the cells of my body deserved something better. So I'm very grateful for that whole experience, and I'm even more grateful that I initially had a back injury years before then, in my 20s. Someone had leaped up on my back at work, jokingly, came down with their legs wrapped around my lower back with all of their weight, crunched my sciatic nerve, punched out a bunch of discs and gel in my spine, and I slammed into the corner of a glass kiosk. I was in such shock. I had so much adrenaline going at the time. I would think I was 24, maybe 25. I was able to get into my car before it registered that I was assaulted and I needed to call the cops, but I didn't. I got home where I lived with my parents, and I could make it as far as the living room before I collapsed in agony. I stayed there on the floor for 2 weeks. I was 25 at the time. And my mother, who is a cancer survivor, gave me some of her opioids to manage the pain. So I took a few of the OxyContin that she gave me, and for the first time, after a week of being in agony, not even being able to relieve myself, go to the bathroom, I became seriously affected by these opioids, right there on the floor. To where it became so comfortable to just ask my mom for them. I could sleep for 20 hours a day. I wouldn't feel any pain. Until one day, as I'm coming into my peak of 20 hours of full sleep on these opioids, I see this dark, ominous figure standing before me at the foot of where I was lying down, like the Grim Reaper himself, just looking down at me, just shaking his head. And that's when I stopped. I stopped entirely and started to do sit-ups. And it was so painful, and I was defecating blood, and it was very painful. But I kept doing sit-ups, and I kept eating right until finally I could make it to a yogic studio. And after that first hot vinyasa class, which was extremely painful in the beginning, I had the deepest, most profound sleep of my life, and I felt this incredible relief that I finally was able to stretch out some of these bound up muscles in the lower left region of my lower back. That was at age 25. I started to practice yoga then, so by the time this asshole who was distracted, not an asshole, but his identity was, he actually went in, off-duty cop, went into the back of the ambulance where I was strapped up to take me to the hospital, asking me a bunch of personal questions and like this close to me, because he knew he was in the wrong and I could smell booze all over his breath. So in any case, that was settled. So by the time I was hit by him, I knew I could recover. And when the chiropractor told me that I had this osteoporosis in my back, I knew I could recover. I had been through worse. So once again, we can't come to appreciate the good without first going through its contrast. This is why life experience is so important, and this is why taking leaps of faith also equally is important. You cannot figure out where your limits are and how to exceed them until they're set. Limits are set by taking leaps and making mistakes. This is how life works. So yes, pain can be agonizing, debilitating, and there's a story behind it, and it exists with the cells. However, it is our responsibility as divine beings to give them respite before we can receive it ourselves. That's called a sacrifice. We have to be sacrificial. So we sacrifice any sort of relief that we would get in the moment by taking something that would mask the pain, which could be any sort of distraction. Masking the pain could be the form of taking a medication, drinking, consuming any sort of substances, opioids, drugs. It could be seeking out someone as a friend in pain to talk about the problems. That could be another way of masking it. Gossiping, talking about things, belittling people. But none of this has to do with actually stepping in to an environment that is healthy for the cells. And until that happens, there will be no recovery and no relief. I know this is a long-winded story. However, it's really the truth. We have to give respite to ourselves first as a form of sacrifice. All right, we got a lot coming in here. Carol Axtell, thank you for following. Leb, thank you for concurring and being here. Jason Keener, thanks for the heart me, for your kindnesses. She's bulletproof, welcome. Says mindset is everything. Agreed. We are an idea in the mind of God, an infinite being with unlimited potential. Etcha Sketchy 303, thanks for following. Costas is here, says Jesus heals. Jesus is the salvation rather than the healer himself. Jesus didn't have to do any sort of seances when he healed people or gave sight to the blind, because if he did, he would be introducing his identity to the situation. So Jesus doesn't actually heal. The word Jesus is salvation. So Jesus is the salvation. It's like, praise the Lord Jesus. That's the proper way to say, I'm grateful for what has just been given to me as relief. And that can change for everyone. It can be the relief from pain. It can be the relief from hunger, the relief from loneliness, the relief from strife, the relief from joblessness, the relief from homelessness. It can be the relief from many things. Praise the Lord Jesus is the recognition. Praise the Lord salvation. That's how I see it, though. It certainly doesn't mean that you have to believe me or concur. GG says a spam account using your pics keeps DMing me. It looks like we're gaining traction again then, GG, because there was a long period of time since this has happened. The last time this happened was in 2023. Yeah, 2023, the fall, when things were really taking off. Thank you, Majestic. That was awesome. That fit just right. I felt good. Yeah, the last time that I heard of this happening with the cloning of my accounts was back when we were gaining like 500 followers a day and we had 2,500 concurrent viewers. So it's probably moving in that direction. I think TikTok's involved in it because it allows, it pumps a false sense of celebrity and importance into the channels and then feeds them more donations, because every time, I love gifts, don't get me wrong, it's not a complaint, but every time a gift is given, then TikTok gets a percentage. So obviously they're motivated to receive your money. So they're going to do everything that they can, including surveillance of who you are, all of your behavior, everything that you're doing, all that you buy, everything you're looking in. TikTok, the application, gives them full reign to do that, to constantly surveil you. So they just do this for training their marketing systems, which are mainly AI based. Yeah, it's kind of a wild thing, but it is true. We'll get people sending you messages as me that are powered and paid for by TikTok. In order for you to come here, type about it, it gets the confirmation, brings more hype in. People hear that and say, wow, he must be blowing up. More people come in, more people donate, they get more money. It's just a perpetual cycle. And it happens everywhere. It does. It's not just TikTok exclusively. It's how virality starts too. It's kind of fed by conglomerates. Melissa Z, thanks for following. That said, I love gifts. It's like, I don't want to dismiss that fact. I love gifts because it feels good. It's like, listen, you could give me $100. You know, what's going to happen is Connecticut's going to take a piece of the pie if I go buy things with it. It's the same thing. TikTok's taking their piece of the pie. Leica says, whoa, I know, it's kind of eye-opening in a way. Whoops. Tyler sent the Let 'em Cook. Thanks, Tyler. I dig it. You guys, keep giving me gifts. I do like them. Thank you. Ask and you shall receive. Creatorless says, peace. Yes, Creatorless. Peace be with you. Majestic Rose is concurring here and offering love in a beautiful way to all, especially Brandon. Divine Mother says, I know. I'm sort of on the fence when it comes to TikTok. It's the strangest thing because TikTok is the only platform that, one, gave me exposure to people and continues to. I mean, you can look at YouTube. YouTube does not pump out any of my work. And so I'll do a continuous recording like this for 2.5 hours. It brilliantly describes consciousness. It's not because it's coming from William Vincent Carlton, but because we're all in source together. We get these beautiful discourses. They run for 2.5 hours. They could be a college course in themselves, and it doesn't get any exposure. I'm not talking poorly about society. I'm not talking about individuals in particular. I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. I'm not using profanity most of the time. Sometimes I do, but not most of the time. And yet YouTube doesn't put it out there because it's not beneficial. It's not beneficial for you to come into being. It's not beneficial for you to become aware that you are more aliveness than your identity. The moment that happens, they've lost another consumer. They've lost another person who has a newfound sense of being. And that just hurts their platform. So I get it. I get it. Thank you for the 70 hearts, or 70 roses rather, my heart space. Sending me that amplified Neptunal energy with the 7-0. 7 being Neptune, 0 being the Fool. Very powerful numbers. Put me in 7th heaven. Peace, brother, says GG. Thank you. 11 Jedi says, well, ever since they took a day off, I can't get my gifts back. Gigi says, yeah, I can tell you avoid me on here. Well, I've just spoken 2 of your comments, and this one was flagged for some reason. And I undid it and pinned it. That just shows how much I love you. But you don't have to believe me. The moment that you believe that I love you, your ego loses. Your ego doesn't want that. TikTok is saying, we have detected inactivity during your current live. Complete the verification to continue your current live. Slide this grassy meadow with mountains and pillowy clouds to the mosaic piece missing, and you shall be granted the gift to continue. We want to know if what you're saying actually is true, William. We want to know if you're alive, or if this is pre-recorded, or AI is somehow creatively convincing even our own algorithm that you are something that you are not. Therefore, you must use your finger. You must put electric current onto your quartz screen and drag it along until it becomes you. So we can feel comfortable that the things that you're saying are in fact happening in real time. It just is so fluid, William. It's hard to believe. We're dumbfounded by this. Of course, we're not going to put this out there. We're not going to project this to the FYP because that would be a disservice to us as well. We can't have people constantly awakening. What happens if they awaken here? They're going to start questioning all of our motives. Every time they see someone coming in and spamming something, every time they get a message, they're going to question it too. All these things are not good for our platform. We can't have that. Can't have that. But we'll take your gifts. You can keep giving gifts. We'll give you bonuses for that. And you can keep talking about the products that are in the TikTok shop. We'll keep giving you bonuses for that too. We'll give you commissions. Keep talking about those products in the TikTok shop. Keep doing that. But all that awakening stuff, do you really have to tell people about the truth of their existence as an aliveness that is birthless, deathless, changeless, and immortal? The fact that the sun actually serves as an umbilical cord to give them life? That they are actually the star child and not the placenta that's constantly being submitted to situations that leave them feeling like a victim of external circumstances, to know in truth that they are the star child is very bad for business. Very bad for business. I know. Very bad. Bad for business. You must be a consumer. You must be unawakened. You must be asleep. You must be having a dream where you feel lack. You must consume. You must seek outside of yourself the answers to the things that have been promised to you. If you just keep seeking long enough, you'll eventually come upon your treasure. It's there, I promise you. Tyler says, this channel was never about monetary gain. It's just a side effect. And this is beautiful. Let's talk about this. What is money but a flow of currency? And so, what is the result? In fact, what makes money flow in current? There has to be an attractive principle, something that is magnetically pulling it towards self. Well, I was told that this very thing that attracts money, which is an idea in the mind of God, and it is good, it is not the root of all evil. Please do not build that narrative up any further. And if you have that narrative, it's time to let it go. Money gives you the ability to express yourself in truth. Everything you want to do for your friends, family, loved ones, everyone around you, money gives you that freedom. And TikTok is no exception, nor am I. So what makes it happen? What makes it flow? One, believing that it is yours, believing that it's come to you, believing that it's flowing through you. That, of course, puts the cells into that place of wealth and richness. But the other big thing is service. That's right. If you are somehow serving people in some way that gives them freedom, freedom from lack, freedom from pain, freedom from confusion, any form of freedom is part of that higher echelon of love. And if you are giving that to people without anything needed in exchange, without asking for it, without saying it's quid pro quo, it has to be a transaction. If you're just offering this service that empowers people, it is met in turn with currency. So money is a result of service. It is. Just start serving. This is how you do it. This is how you attract money. Tara Lynn, thank you for following. Let's get back into the others here. Brandon was laughing. I think I remember when that was. We're building an altruistic, balanced entropy Eden here. That's awesome. Power of healing. Thanks for following. I can undo flags. Well, apparently I have. A couple times. Lifeguard 586 exclamation point $. Thank you for following. Let's talk about this $. Let's talk about the $. Do you folks remember a few days ago when I was talking about the 13th astrological sign that has been removed? It was removed from history through the ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans. Its name is Ophiuchus. Perhaps you recall that? Okay, so Ophiuchus is the serpent bearer, and you see Ophiuchus's sign. By the way, this is a rhythmic repetition where we are right now. I was talking about this rhythmic repetition of Ophiuchus in the 13th astrological sign right here. And it was the $sign that triggered this event in synchronicity, which is beautiful. Gotta love it. Why am I talking about the $sign? Well, of course, we're talking about money and how it's attracted into life, how it's good and very good. And I look upon money as divine substance forever circulating in your experience, because it gives you the ability to fully express yourself in truth, to be the perfect example of what it's like to be successful. That's why money exists. Otherwise, you'd have to collect cows and goats and build structures on your own. Instead, you can have money. Money buys you cows, it buys you goats. They're fully grown and they give you milk. In fact, if you don't want cows and goats, you can just buy the milk. You could buy the house. You could buy the construction crew. You could even buy robots that act as the construction crew now, and they'll do the building for you. They'll work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they do that because of money. That's right. So it's a great thing. It's a beautiful thing. Money is awesome. How does it feel when you say that? Money is awesome. Before it was the root of all evil. Now it's awesome. It feels good to have it. I love seeing it build up in my accounts. I love seeing it appreciate. I love knowing I have this power of freedom. I could go anywhere. I could do this anywhere. I could go to any woods and continue to generate this wealth. You want this for your money, just as you want it for your health. You want your mobility. It's the same thing. It's currency. Remember again, before we get into Ophiuchus and talk about the 13th astrological sign, we are talking about something that is current-based. ATP, adenosine triphosphate, is the currency of life. And it is made through the combination of masculine and feminine principles working in union. You have electrons, which are feminine, and you have protons, which are masculine, and you have glucose, which is feminine, and you have the fire of mitochondria that is masculine. You have them coming together and working, and oxygen is this beautiful feminine power, is my understanding. Nitrogen is its masculine component, counterponent, and they all work together. Nitrogen, oxygen, electrons, protons, mitochondria, glucose, and this creates the printing press of your life that gives you all the currency. It's called ATP, and we spend it on everything we think about. So if you're spending currency thinking about how money is coming into your life, it's sure as hell better than thinking about it not being there. That's a waste. Just throwing money away. Why throw money away? Use your currency for the imagination. Currency should always be spent on the imagination, not on using the imagination to create a situation of lack. Something in the past that was really painful. That is a mistake. That is an error. Error is just another word for evil. You've determined it. You don't want to live in lack. So why spend the life currency on it? It's like going and binging on something that you know you shouldn't have and you shouldn't do. But we do it because of the instant gratification that it gives. It's easy enough to talk about problems and lack with just about everyone on the world, with the exception of a few select few who have the opposite. I want you to become that opposite, the counterbalance to the placenta that is lack, okay? Ophiuchus, the 13th astrological sign. Here's how it works. It was eliminated because it leads to your immortality. There are 13 moon cycles in a given year. One of them is not counted as a month. The whole situation is messed. The whole calendar is messed up. The whole thing is a problem. In that if you take away the 13th astrological sign, you no longer have the completion of a cycle and its renewal. So what this does is it leads people perpetually hung upside down, looking at the world from a way of lack rather than renewal. So what's really wild about this is we have this currency system that's symbolic. And it's symbolic in the same way that when you go to a hospital, you see the dollar sign, right? It's a dollar sign. It's a snake going down the staff or the spine. Everyone thinks it's Hermes. Everyone thinks that's the staff, the caduceus. Everyone thinks so. It's not. It's not the caduceus. It's the rod of Asclepius. It is the rod of Asclepius. And you can be sure that Asclepius used that rod at his world-renowned healing facility to literally resurrect people from the dead. He used the rod. He used a plant that I can't talk about. And he also used something called ambrosia, which is the nectar of the gods that comes from the land of milk and honey. Yes, the blending of the milk and honey gives you the nectar of life. He used the rod, he used the nectar, and a plant I can't talk about that has evolved with us for over 30,000 years and is quite expressive in providing a change of consciousness. Or the didgeridoo. Alyssa May, thanks for following. Ashers, thanks for following. And a guitar. I think it was a keytar. D-Roy says, Jesus didn't use money. Cass says, we are the true currency. Indeed we are. Give and take. D-Roy, this is quite a statement. I'm sure Jesus of Nazareth used money. I'm sure there was a moment in time where he went to like the side street cafe and was like, listen, guys, I want a dark coffee. I want it rich brewed. And could somebody come and wash my feet? Everyone went to town. Normally, Mary Magdalene handles it. Could someone please just wash my feet? Like, yeah, Jesus, but that's going to cost you. We haven't seen many miracles around here, and we heard about the miracles that you're doing, but we haven't seen the miracles. This is what usually gets me banned. I talk about Jesus of Nazareth in that way, and it gets me literally banned. And all I'm trying to say is currency existed since before Jesus of Nazareth. Can we please get to that? Can we please? There you go, Costas. Here you go. Let's talk about it, Costas. Let's talk about how you're being offended by someone who is no longer alive, who's considered to be alive in your heart as your salvation. But in order for you to have that salvation, you must adhere to rules that have been indoctrinated upon you by a system of religion that requires your faith in going over and over again and talking about your problems as if they are permanent until they are forgiven by this source that is outside of you. That is no different than going into the Garden of Eden, walking to the tree of knowledge, seeing a serpent slither down and say, I can get you closer to God than you already are. Would you like to be closer to God? Here's what you have to do. Take a bite. Take a bite from this fruit, even though God says don't do it. I want you to take a bite from it. What has God done for you? God's done nothing for you. Take a bite from this. Become close to me, and I will make you so close to God, you will feel just as if you are Him. You will feel His power. You will feel His glory. You will feel everything that you ever wanted, and I promise this to you. You will feel so close if you just take this bite. Sounds awful familiar. Sounds awfully familiar. It sounds like it came from the book of Genesis. Sounds like it was Satan himself leading Adam and Eve down the primrose path of temptation. Really, really does. And you know what? If I were that slithering serpent, I would be really offended too to be called out for my truth. I would be really offended. Instead, I don't care so much about that story. I care about Jesus and its meaning. It is a word. It is a collection of sounds. And when you take it back to Aramaic, where Jesus of Nazareth was living and using money as a form of currency to purchase things out of convenience, like everyone else in their right mind, used currency, including Judas, for his own betrayal and crucifixion, used money as a form of exchange. So yes, Jesus of Nazareth used money. And while this was happening, he also understood that the kingdom of heaven was within him and that he could procure anything he wanted simply by using it as a thought in the mind of the Father, because he was one with him. And every time he placed his hands on people who actually believed this was going to heal them, it didn't matter if they felt it was coming from outside of them, from this man, or from within them as Christ itself, they were healed because their journey began and ended from the heart in believing that they were healed. The faith was there. So yeah, you can be offended by it, man. You can report this, try to get me taken off, and you might actually feel satisfaction in that. You might actually feel a little bit closer to your God. The fact that you've trespassed upon someone, reported them erroneously in order to feel safe in your way from words, which are nothing more than frequencies. And there could be nothing worse as far as a declaration of your own weakness than to do just that. So I implore you to report me. Weakling, when you should be Christ embodied. Act a weakling and placate the God that you believe in, who is outside of you. And I will say this with fervent behavior until it sinks through into every indoctrinated being who believes God is outside of himself, when Jesus himself was crucified for saying the kingdom was within. Crucify me. Set the example. Make me a martyr. Go ahead. I'll tell you right now, this guy right here, William Vincent Carlton, doesn't deserve it, but you can make me a martyr all you want. And you won't win this battle because there's no battle, there's no chess game. I get my own kingdom. You are part of my kingdom right now. You are manifest as part of my kingdom. You have no say over it. You do not hold any grounds against me. I am the sole proprietor of this aliveness. You can do nothing about it. I continue. My consciousness never dies. Do you understand? God is not outside of me. God is me, powering me, giving me aliveness. I'm no different than anyone else, but I have awareness of it. There you go. The Father does these things within me. This is exactly it. And so Costas is saying, just don't disrespect people's gods. So let's talk about this. You are deciding that it's disrespectful. That's a decision. And by saying, I have to change my wording, you are becoming a victim of external circumstances that are affected by sounds, which are nothing more than words. If I were speaking to you Lemurian right now, you wouldn't know that I was disrespecting your God, but you've decided that I have because of the sounds coming through your brain, somehow are triggering enough to believe that I've caused a threat to your existence. That is because you are only acting as a performer. And if you actually were acting as God was coming through you, the God that you believe in and show reverence for, which I believe you do, it's just misguided. You are looking at the wake of your boat instead of looking into your heart and seeing the truth that you have an imagination without limits. And all I'm asking you to do is to see yourself as respected by me. And then you will go off into your own timeline. You will branch off into where I am down on my knees, supplicating to you, please forgive me. I don't want to be condemned and go to purgatory. You will have that unfold before you as a narrative, as long as you use your imagination appropriately. And while you're doing that, which is in effect trespassing upon an embodiment of God, I will be using that energy to bring myself into a greater place of glory and wish fulfillment. Thanks to you. You think that didn't happen to Jesus of Nazareth? You think that didn't happen to him when he was crucified on the cross? You think that he wasn't granted immortality as a result of all the hate that was spewed his way? You think he didn't see it? Come on. Revisit the stories, please. I'm trying to help you. Trying to help you guys. That's all. It's just trying to give you assistance. There is no God outside of you. There is no God outside of you. There is no God that is separate from you. There's no separateness between you and God. God is immortal. God is eternal. God is omnipresent. You know what that means? It means he's inside you, he's outside you, he's everywhere. He is everything. So he can't be a body. He can't be a figure in history. He can't be. He must be a thought. And that thought is infinite. It knows no bounds. It is your imagination. And you don't have to believe me. And you won't believe me. You don't have to believe me. It's okay. I love you all the same. I know you won't believe me. At the same time, you're going to go home and you're going to have your meal and you're going to be thinking about what I said while you're eating this meal that was powered by God so that you could have the convenience of eating and thinking. You're going to be eating these things. And while you're eating these things, all the nutrients are going to be absorbed by your body through this infinite intelligence that is within you, not outside of you, but within you. Managing digestion is an intelligence within you. And it's going to be feeling how you feel so betrayed and so upset from what this person that was saying something to you from a flat quartz screen. You let it floor you, instead of realizing that what you were gracing your body with is in fact Christ himself renewing you. But you see him as outside of you. You see him as a figure, and you see him as your God. And I will tell you with one final point that should drive this home enough for anyone to be sick of it. The first of the 10 commandments you are violating by saying that Jesus is your God, because you are saying that he is outside of you. That is blasphemy. The kingdom of heaven is within, and God is consciousness. So that's it. The kingdom of heaven is within you. And if you are saying that God is outside of you and that you are offended that I'm talking about God being outside of you, then yes, I have offended your God, and I will until the cows come home every single moment of life. So help me, God, to do it. Because it is an error beyond belief that leads to the suffering and the warring and the separation and this alienation of human beings who are made in the image and likeness of him himself that is being caused as a result of seeing yourself as separate from me. And all I'm telling you is you are me, and I am you, powered by this, by Christ. That's all. So the wars will continue on your timeline, but they're not coming here. The wars are not coming here, and anyone who comes into this room understands right now that this is the version of me that has survived the wars. This is the version of me that has survived the trauma. This is the version of me who has survived poverty and is coming into success, coming into peace, and coming into prosperity for the sake of everyone to benefit from it. This is my timeline. It cannot be stopped. So if you are here right now, there's only 2 ways you could go. You can accept this truth for yourself and be wish fulfilled. And you don't have to give me a damn thing for it. You don't even have to be here watching, but you can accept that you are infinite in power. Or you can resist it and find yourself drifting into a timeline where I will never be there in truth. You will see a version of me, but it won't be me. It'll be some lesser version who wants to fight with you any more than I already have. Do you feel it? The branching of timelines? I do. Why don't you ask yourself what your world looks like in that world of war and opposition and polarity? What world does that look like? Because I can tell you what the world looks like for me. And you can call it as selfish as you want, but you know what? I was granted a kingdom of heaven in order to be selfish about what I want. And same thing goes with you. But the moment that I believe that you should be listening to me and you should be following these things as truth is the moment I've also trespassed upon you. I'm simply telling you the truth because it's flowing through me better than it has the day before. It's for a reason. Because it is your salvation. It's your truth and your salvation. You continue to war against people, find differences, complain about your problems. And that will be the world in its reflection to you. It's what it will become. And some selfish part of me wants this to not happen for you. But I also know that I have no place in mandating it, or demanding it, or reporting you for not doing it. I simply know that you know not what you do. Do I pray to God? Who are you speaking to? If you're speaking to William Vincent Carlton praying to God, he does all the time. He has no choice. When I pray to God, I imagine myself being wish fulfilled. I become a babe in the womb. I don't have to have the means or the way or the story or any plan. I rest in the glorious expectancy and unfolding of divine grace. That's prayer. So yes, I pray all the time. Every time the words come through to me right now, it is a form of prayer because I know that I'm surrendering to it. Let me ask you, Costas, when's the last time you prayed? Truthfully, where you actually believed the things that you were asking for were not at a distance from you. The things that you actually were looking for and seeking actually existed within you for a moment, enough for you to feel the change. Because that's the piece missing in prayer that is not taught to you in the churches. The churches want you to arrive, and they want you to give money to a basket that will feed the desires of pedophiles and other criminals so that they can live off of your wealth that is naturally designed for you. And that's not every single one, but I can say, coming from a family who had a Monsignor as a great uncle, God rest his soul, he was a Monsignor in Pennsylvania, and I can tell you, the stories just keep brewing up. Case after case after case. And so if you think you're going into a church paying money that in somehow paying to something in a basket is going to give you the answer to your prayers, as if there's a distance between you and their realization, that is believing in a God that is a deity outside of yourself. It is a deification or idolization of God outside of you. And that is satanic. I repeat, that is satanic. Everything that has to do with Satanism has to do with the body and flesh and materials being above, beyond, and greater than all things that are provided from within. That is the grand rule of Satanism. That's how it works. And so, if you don't believe me, just look it up. Educate yourself. I don't say that often. I don't say go do your research, but really do your research. What is Satan trying to do? He's trying to say, I've been dispelled from the kingdom of heaven. I've been thrust out. Therefore, I want to see what has thrust me out meet its imminent destruction. And even though I can't destroy what is infinite, I will do everything that I can to belittle, mock, and demean that which is perfect in the form of grace, for being cast out, for being a victim. And so, of course, the satanic ritual is anytime life is created, let's destroy it. Let's take it to a place where we can have it destroyed, right? We're seeing that all around. Millions of bodies, embodiments of God coming into life. Let's go and destroy it. And so anytime we see ourselves at a distance, the devil is just clapping and applauding. Oh, thank God that they see themselves not as an embodiment of God. This could be no greater for me. This is my greatest glory. I get to see everyone against one another, everyone offended by sounds. What could be more foolish than that? Than people being offended by sounds. I could be no greater in my glory right now. If I could just see a few more deaths on behalf of this aliveness that betrayed me because I'm a victim. There you go. So Costas, I know that you're indoctrinated. Like, I know this is a judgment too, but William Vincent Carleton, who has been through a lot of indoctrination and different life experiences, is offering an opinion of judgment that I believe will help you and the rest of the people here. And it also may not. And there's no attachments or expectations coming from me. But I can tell you this. If you see Jesus as something outside of you, which the word itself means salvation, let's just look at it this way. Let's talk about the meaning of the word Jesus in Aramaic and in English. In English, it means salvation. In Aramaic, Yeshua means salvation as well. So if we're talking about salvation is the only one that can save, is saying something outside of you is the only thing that can bring you salvation. You see? Salvation is the only thing that can bring you salvation. But salvation is the harvest. Salvation is the thing that comes after faith. It comes after belief and prayer. So how could you say that salvation is what gives you salvation? It's a perpetual loop where you're at a distance from the things that you want and pray for. That's all it is. This is not even open to debate because it starts to go into a place of stupidity if we go beyond. You cannot be saved by salvation. I repeat, salvation is the result of faith. Faith in Christ. I'm sure you would agree. Faith in Christ gives you salvation. Christ is infinite. It is the anointed one, the kingdom of heaven within. And you must become like a child in order to be anointed. This is coming from Scripture. I did not just make this up today. It's been around for thousands of years so as not to be forgotten. And to become not begotten by man, one in being with the Creator, by going within into the kingdom of heaven repeatedly and praying in secret with the Father of creation, you are saved. Any other way is your ego trying to convince you that you're a victim. And it's very good at doing it. Very good. Very, very good. Of course, the devil is conniving. Have we ever said that the devil is dumb? No, the devil is very smart. I'm sure that this is coming through in some way. So pride is belief in something outside of yourself is more important than that which is within. That's pride. So if you're saying it's pride to think that we can save ourselves is actually a doctrine of demons. So there you go. So the bottom line is this, Costas. You have a narrative in which you are believing that certain people who don't believe your way are in fact condemned. How is that using love in the form that Jesus of Nazareth promoted people do? There's not a single part of this that has anything to do with loving thy neighbor as thyself, which is another one of the 10 commandments that you are actually violating by saying this. So the bottom line is this: if you think that there are problems with people that can't be resolved unless they do what you say because of what you've been indoctrinated to say, then you are acting on behalf of Satan. And that's okay. Everyone does it, for the most part. A lot of people do. There you go. Garrett 9 says, my own heart space is not the devil. Of course not. It's an infinite intelligence at work keeping you alive. And the closer you get to that by being it, which is, you can be no closer to it than becoming it, you are saved. Salvation comes. No one can deny anyone the power of the imagination. It's there. We use the imagination to have these banters back and forth, to have debates. We use imagination. We're using our power all the time. And it is our power. Just as he is our Father, who art in heaven, within. Hallowed be thy name, holy, which is holistic, the I am, infinite, active, maternal. Be thy name. Thy kingdom come. It's already here. Thy will, that which I think, in correspondence, be done on earth, the womb of creation, as it is already existing in the mind of God in heaven, the head. Give us this day our daily bread, which is to say, let us commune with one another the truth of being that we find in the Namaste, the Om, the Amen. I see the enlightenment within you. I see the goodness in you. I see the embodiment of Christ that you are. I give my daily bread in this communion. And forgive us our trespasses, for ever thinking that you need to follow this story, that you have to believe in this, for it's just mine, created through my own kingdom of heaven that is granted every human being individually, born in his image and likeness in his grace. Forgive my trespasses for ever trying to convince you that you are more than a victim of external circumstances. Please forgive my trespasses and ever believing that you are more than someone who's just indoctrinated and not letting this sink in and get through. Forgive me for my trespasses. As we forgive those who trespass against us, anyone who says that you are offending me, you have to change, you are the devil's spawn, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. We forgive ourselves and we forgive others of these trespasses. As we forgive those who trespass against us, lead us not into temptation to keep belittling, judging, naming, and calling. For the kingdom and the power within and the glory of its salvation are yours now and forever. I believe. You want to know what the Lord's Prayer is? I just delivered it to you. I delivered it to you in grace. I delivered it to you in beauty and in reverence for your aliveness. But if you tell me that I have to revere some element of your identity, as if it is God or anyone else for that matter, depending on their name or their timeline, then you are asking the wrong fucking person. And I will never in my right mind ever adhere to that, because it is complete and total insanity and stupidity. And it goes against the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth himself. for the kingdom of heaven is within us. We must become like a child in order to access it, and we must be grace in embodiment, and no longer trespass on the worlds and the lives of others, because we are all granted our own individual kingdom. The kingdom of heaven is the imagination. Point made. Justin says, so there's no one singular God. We are all God. So, Justin, let's distinguish this first. There is Justin, the identity, which was thrust upon you as an aliveness as God when you were born. Whether it was your parents, your society, guardians, whatever it was, you were thrust this name upon you, and then you built life experiences upon this. So you can't be God because you are a thing as an identity, which has a beginning, middle, and end, just as I can't be a God as William. But we are all God in aliveness, that which powers our consciousness and flows the possibility to even become indoctrinated, is the truth of who we are in being. And that is God. So in effect, in truth, we are all God. However, we are more the observer of aliveness than the identity that has been thrust upon us, that we have been made to believe we must adhere to something outside of us as God in order to be saved. And that is what it believes, because if we're just an identity, then we are very fearful of death. It's one life to live for the ego. This is the only time you'll be Justin and the only time I'll be William. The only time we'll have these collections of life experiences in a linear fashion this way. It will never again be the same. In infinite timelines, this is the one timeline that will always exist this way and never be any different. So we are very fearful as this identity of its obliteration, and we'll do everything that we can to prevent it, including being reverent towards something that we are told if we're reverent towards it, it will save us in some way. And it never comes through, because we see ourselves at a distance from the salvation. We are believing in fear and hope more than the reality of our existence as wish fulfilled. And so we are God as the aliveness observing our identity that was thrust upon us. I pray this answers your question. It cannot be argued. The stuff that I'm telling you right now, no one can argue that you didn't have an identity thrust upon you that gave you a name to play this game of life. And that which thrusted upon you, whether it was your parents or anyone else, guardians, they were also being fed consciousness in order to do it. So no one is absent of consciousness as a human being. Therefore, it is something that is universal. It is a life-giving principle. There's not a single human being on this planet that after getting cut doesn't have it healed automatically. There's not a single person on this planet that after eating doesn't have it be digested and made into cells for available glucose to become into our currency of life. No one is an exception. There's not a single human being on this planet that didn't come from one zygote that was the combination of sperm and egg that formed into every single trillions of cells that are your body now. There's not a single exception. And that is because consciousness is the standard. It is the constant. It is a life-giving principle that cares for us and only wishes to see our wish fulfillment. In that it gives us the power of the imagination to where we become what we think about. I refuse to see anyone as less. You cannot convince me to see you as less than that, no matter what you say. You can put me in jail. You can ban me. You can say I'm cursed forever. You can say I'm going to suffer in purgatory. I'm going against all your belief systems, but I will still continue to see you as an embodiment of God in that way, because it's irrefutable evidence. So crucify me for all I care. I'll be just like Jesus of Nazareth then. And I'm sure William Vincent Carleton will get a good kick out of it, because it's the only life he has to live. He might as well be crucified and made a martyr for saying the same damn things that were said 2,000 years ago. That the kingdom of heaven is within. That's not of this world. That we become what we think about. And that you know not what you do. It's just the same damn archetype happening over and over again. So I'm sure William would be absolutely thrilled to be ending on your timeline while he continues on through God's grace as consciousness. His timeline will branch off yet again, and he will be feeding off of the boomerang of hate that you sent his way in crucifixion. Anytime you think of someone doing poorly, anytime you want them harmed, anytime you want them cursed, you are in fact sending them off into a new timeline where you will see them suffer, but they will thrive. The law of correspondence and polarity demands it. It is a physical law that cannot be avoided by anyone, no matter how tricky you believe yourself to be. You cannot avoid the law. It's the law of correspondence. Every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. It's Newton's third law. And the inertia that we face is the continuation of consciousness, which has no beginning nor end. The aliveness is a constant, and it's in everything. It's not just in the human being. It's in this tree as a eukaryotic life form. It's a life principle giving this tree its aliveness. It's in every atom. It's in every nucleus. And there's no exception. There's not one exception. Unless you believe there is an exception in the mind of God, then it will adhere to you. But by trying to go against the natural law of science itself, it will present itself to you in the form of an illusion that is quite believable, and that will be the game that you play, my friends. It will be the game that you play, but it won't be the one that I'm playing. You will see me as perishing before you. You will see me as suffering before you, while at the same time I continue on being made a martyr in aliveness. There is a timeline like that. Or else you never would have seen Jesus of Nazareth resurrected. Are we getting it now? I think we're getting closer now to the truth of being. This is why you must love your neighbor as yourself. So I do love you all. You could call that God-fearing. I just want to make sure that I love you as I would want myself to be enriched, so as to remain in that state of being. It's selfish, but it is true. Zach Pocket says, polarity, male, female, movement, correspondence, mental, cause and effect, all is all. All is one. Correct. Justin, thank you for following. Sissy, thanks for the love and the hug. 1212 and 222, lots of Qs, the Q of Qs. Jay Reezy, 76, thanks for following. Liz, 222, great to see you here, thanks for the love. Alice says, you are rocking today, brother, I love it. Empathy neurons, thank you, Al. I do appreciate a little cheer from the audience from time to time. It does help this old man keep going. No more faith, thanks for following. Oh, jeez. You understand that that is a affirmation. I don't want to trespass on anyone, but saying no more faith is quite an affirmation. Wonder how that works out. Unknown, actually, I don't wonder how that works out. I don't want to entertain that at all. I want you to have complete and total wish fulfillment, so that would require some faith. Yes, observer, says Unknown Lady 0139. We are all extensions of God. Indeed, Alberry, we are. We are fragmented parts of God, says Majestic Rose to Justin. We are living in duality. As identities, we are certainly fragmented. We are certainly fragmented as identifying beings. I mean, think of the concept itself as a fragment, right? We come into this world with wholeness as aliveness, and then we narrow ourselves down into an identity with limitation. So we certainly are fragments of truth. Your name here, 2200, followed. Thanks. Benito, 2447. Thank you for following. Conalingua, thanks for the lightning bolts. And then we're back at Justin's question. So there is no one singular God. We are all God. The answer is yes and no at the same time. The identity is not God. The aliveness that powers it is. Yes. In that way we all are. And we are all also separate as identifying beings that we created for ourselves in order to be entertained and have life experiences in duality with restriction and separation and polarity and wars and strife. And all I'm saying is that's coming to an end because we've had enough of it. Collectively, we've felt too much suffering. That's why we have the convergence of technology and AI is advancing. That's why we have robotics coming forth that will be providing the goods and services production at a rate that we've never seen before in humanity, leading to a general trend of all prices of things that we desire to zero, at which point in time, We will probably develop a virtual reality similar to the one we've already developed to have this experience of restriction again, and we'll try to make it as believable as possible. And there'll be a number of developers saying my version is better than your version, and you can say, well, my version has infinite timelines. How many does yours have? Mine has better refresh rate. Mine has better psychedelic experiences. Well, mine has better tasting chicken. How about yours? It's going to be like that. It's going to be like that. Just like it is right now. You want your chicken to taste better? All you have to do is think, my chicken tastes better. Tomorrow you're going to try your chicken. It's going to taste really freaking good. It already exists. We've already reached the singularity, okay? We've already reached AGI. It's what powers your body. It's consciousness. Congratulations. That's the reveal. Big fat spoiler, I know. It's not a good thing to give people spoilers unless they really wanted the spoiler after living and watching this series never freaking end. They're like, okay, I'm ready for this series to end. I'm ready for the suffering to end. I'm ready for my salvation now. Can I please have the answer? Okay, yeah, you become what you think about, and AGI has already occurred. It's the intelligence that powers you, and you are actually that. Having an observation of a thing or a body, which has trillions of cells that you brought about with your own intelligence, and congratulations, you're living the game of life. Now make the best of it. Start imagining the things that you love and want to have as wish fulfillment. This is the ending credits of your life. Enjoy them. Is everyone getting it now? It's a big fat blow to the ego, man. The ego hates this. The ego, your identity hates being told that it can no longer in truth be a victim. It has to pretend now. And I pretend too. Let's talk about pretending to be victims. I do it a lot. I do it on this trail. I do it several times during the course of this talk. I fall into a performance and I pretend myself into victimization. I do it a lot. Because it's fun to feel the feeling of separation between myself and something that is the root cause in my mind for a few short moments. And then I realize, wait a minute, if I do that more and more, I'll actually be swallowed by it. And that will build up in my body, and I'll be disrespecting these beautiful cells that think of me as their embodiment of God. So I have to be really good to the cells again. Like, that's why I catch myself. But it happens to all of us. All the time. Full of Bull Taurus. That's awesome. What a name. Thanks for following. There's hearts around that, and you know it is tied to Venus, so that's what's wild about Taurus. Superposition, electrons, quantum entangling to experience the material realm, all at its peak beauty. Indeed, Cunningwood. That is blissed out state of being. Liz222 sending over a huge cake. Let's do the birthday cake. That reminds me. Forest Earthling says, thank you, Liz, by the way. Big W's in the chat for Liz222. I love that. Feels really good. Let's get to this one here. Forest Earthling asks, states, okay, so this is the power statement. This is the programming statement. Infinite active maternal equals addictive to staying on the phone. So this is the program running. 13 hours a day, it's just an addendum, also running. What can I do about it? I.e., there's nothing I can do about it until I find out from external circumstances how to deal with it. And it's something that is undesirable. So what is addicted to is undesirable, perpetual, happening for a long period of time, and there's a feeling that nothing can be done about it, and these are not judgments. This is what the subconscious mind is receiving in the form of programming. So the idea here is you are free, you use the phone only when you desire, and you no longer need to do anything about it because it's managed by a superior intelligence, the imagination. So let's go into the imagination now, and you're going to see yourself there having this wish-fulfilled experience. Let's close our eyes, take a deep breath through the nose. Exhale. Let's do another one. Big inhale through the nose. And this one's for you too, Liz. Thank you for that gift. Exhale out the nose or mouth, whatever you want. Okay. Breathe normally. Eyes are still closed. I want you to imagine that beautiful birthday cake that just popped up on the screen from Liz just a few minutes ago. That same one really existing before you in your mind. And I want you to imagine it being filled with candles that are lit. Now on the next inhale, I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to blow those candles out. Go ahead and do it now. Just relax and look at the end effect of blowing out those candles. On your next breath, say in your mind, I am breathing in, as you breathe in. Do it. Say in your mind as you breathe out, I'm breathing out. Keep doing that. And just let the words that I'm about to say have no meaning. Your mind will figure it out for you. Just keep monitoring your breath while I speak. I'm breathing in, and I'm breathing out. The words that follow are naturally managed so long as you're doing that act. You are free of all limitation. There is no purpose unless you decide there is one. In this state of being, in the imagination, which is the nation of images known as Christ consciousness, there is no limitation unless you decide there is. So instead of there being limitation right now, which is just another way of saying addiction, addiction is a limitation placed upon the mind and body that something can't be avoided and that it needs to be. So instead of having that be there at all, what is the opposite of addiction? It is freedom from substances that otherwise would have a grasp on the body and mind. So we are freeing ourselves from addiction by becoming free. See yourself walking, talking, living free. Not in the future, and not some version of yourself who perhaps was considered more whole in the past either. It is now. You're seeing yourself walking, talking, living free. Whatever urges are coming in, they don't move you as much as you are free. You keep saying this to your body. I am free. I am worthy. And I am receiving my wish fulfillment as I desire. Just like the woodpecker is pecking away at its home, it already has the idea of its home existing. That's all I want. I want you to become the carpenter of your own home right now by imagining being there, enjoying it, free from all substances or otherwise vices that would require you to use them to mask the bliss that you have right now in being wish fulfilled. Perfect relationship, perfect abundance, perfect mobility and health. And as you go here, and as you remain in this blissful state of being, while monitoring your breath, I am breathing in, I am breathing out. Rest assured, through a phenomena called epigenetics, your cells believe you to be on vacation in that very place. They send signals to your mind and body to release endorphins that work as a better, stronger pharmacy than anything you could introduce from the outside. Nothing compares to the blissed out hormones that the body knows how to produce automatically already. For that reason, the receptors exist so that they can be met with bliss. That's happening now. Anandamide is being produced through black piperine and turmeric, and all of the tryptophan that's left being gathered up in the body in lost corners is being brought into one centralized place and leaked out from your pineal gland, your third ventricle, and the cave of Brahman, the crystal palace, all delivering you the perfect blissed out state. As you monitor your breath, I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. No one can restrict you from going to this place. No one can restrict you from having these beautiful blissed out moments. No one can do it unless you decide so, which places you in your power. It's a very dangerous place for your ego because it can't exist while you're breathing in and breathing out and letting the words that I'm saying enter into your subconscious in the form of truth. It must be expressed. You are perfect health. You are free of vices. And you have used these moments now appropriately to understand the truth that it wasn't so much an addiction that you had as much as a search for something outside of yourself that no longer needs to be searched for because it is you. You have become it. And now your body and its cells are becoming it. And it reverberates outward and attracts it into your life in various forms and shapes. Like a woolly hat. Thank you very much, Cass, for that gift. Jessica says the narrative statement. Thank you, Tyler Lovell, for the manifesting. This is a not uncommon question. Jessica asks, what if you truly can't visualize? All we're going to do, and I have more questions coming that I will approach momentarily. So let's look at the use of the I am here. So the use of the I am is I am not able to visualize, right? That's the use of I am. And so what if this is truth? That is a future projection. It's actually not something that exists in the mind of God, because it is a what if scenario. In the event that I cannot visualize, what then? So it starts to bring in a time-based construct. And it's all the use of the imagination. It's just being used to construct time and limitation. That's fine. Let's put it into power now. I visualize my hand before me. Hold your hand out before you, Jessica, and just look at it for a moment. You can do that. Your ego's not going to like this. It's going to say it's a dumb exercise. Of course, you can see your hand. It's right before you. Why are you doing this when you could be answering whatever text message brings you pain? And I promise you, I'll give you the solution, says the ego. But I just want you to forget that for a moment, because it doesn't move you as much as you observe your hand is alive and before you. You're observing your hand. Okay? Now, I want you to close your eyes when you're ready, Jess, and I want you to try to see this hand before you with your eyes closed. You can feel its aliveness, can't you? If you can't, open your eyes and look at it again. And then close your eyes and try to feel its presence before you. Feel every finger, every digit, and its locality. Open your eyes and look at it again. What's happening every time you close your eyes is you're actually using the imagination to imagine the presence of your hand. It may feel like a tingling of energy under the surface of your skin, but all the same, it's presence. And what it does is it pulls you out of time in a creative way and places you into the mind of God through the imagination. Once again, when you close your eyes and imagine your hand, your ego is not there. It can't imagine your hand with you. It can only try to distract you from doing it so it can live through your time constructs, because that's how it survives. That's how it builds pain into the cells. So every time that you close your eyes and you imagine your hand being there, every cell in your body believes them to be there. Now you take it a step further. You start to imagine all of those cells releasing endorphins into your body. Not just your one hand, but your other hand. And then you can extend it to your feet. Soon what you will find you feel is a resting vibration underneath the surface of your skin that even if you opened your eyes and returned the distraction of the waking life to your consciousness, you would still feel its presence. That aliveness is your truth. That is actually your being in truth. And so if you can experience any of this, including just the basic imagining where your hand is in locality with your eyes closed, you have appropriately used the imagination and you have dispelled whatever truth you believed once was, I can't do it. And it begins there. You've played the first note on the string of the instrument that has always been yours in divine grace, but it requires some practice and it requires repetition. The daily footprint is the same as your daily practice, and it will build in strength over time. You will find yourself doing amazing things because of it, because it won't be Jess anymore. It'll be the aliveness that is powering Jessica, and you will come into being as that. I pray that this is registering with you. Jessica, well, there's my prayer answered. Jessica says, thank you, I do feel the tingles. And there it is, that's your aliveness. So that is proof through physical sensation that your use of the imagination has worked. You've manifest feeling. Congratulations, you just did a manifestation. Now your ego's going to really be pissed with me. So give it some love while you keep going back to that practice until you feel totally satisfied playing the instrument enough to have a beautiful session registered with your cells and your aliveness. And then finally, one day, your ego is going to say, okay, I'm not going to try anymore. That's what mine says, William. It's like, Maybe I can get away with a few stories in the beginning of this live broadcast, but aside from that, I better be fucking quiet. Because I'm just going to lose more of my already lost grip. Yes, everyone give huge congratulations to Jessica, because, I love you too, Jessica. You're so powerful. That's all I want you to see. What's really amazing about this is that you've manifested something instantaneously, and now you're getting love from a collective of human beings made in the image and likeness of God. It took courage for you to say something that was an indoctrination of limitation, and it took even more courage to exercise it when you could have gone elsewhere, and thus the conversion is delivered to you in the form of grace and immediate gratification. You feel your aliveness. And let me tell you that that's all you need to do, Jessica. If you are feeling your aliveness, you have stepped into the womb of creation, and it knows how to unwind every stress, every pain, every limitation. It knows how to undo everything that's ever been embedded as limitation at all. It all unwinds. And it's the same thing that happens to the cells of the body. It's called epigenetics. If you remove the cells from the stress or from the limitation, it knows how to heal itself. So your body's doing that for you. All you have to do is just be there with your resting frequency. And if you don't feel it one day, you're like, I really want to get that feeling of electricness, then just observe that it's not there. It's the same thing. Observe that it's not there today. It's not going to be sunny every day. Some days there's going to be overcast, and we're going to want that sun because it feels so freaking good. It's not going to be there every day because we live in a dualistic nature. Reality is dual. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. But you got it right now because your faith was so strong. Your faith brought it right through. It was your moment. It's so worth celebrating. There you go. And Kaz says to Jessica, this is proof that only silly questions are the only silly question is the one not asked, and keep asking. Indeed. Who am I to judge you? I'm saying William Vincent Carleton is in no position to realistically judge anyone. I'm a vagabond walking in the woods right now. Come on. Look at that plane. But his aliveness is grace. And he's very open to surrendering to it. That's what's great about William's character. He surrenders a lot to things. He surrenders to the things that are before him that are even unpleasant. By going to another place, everyone looks at him like he's crazy. He should be really upset. He should be triggered right now. He should be reacting. But William is not there. He's been taken on vacation to some other place where he's much more wish fulfilled. That's the secret. Cece, this came in at the right time. It basically is the same answer that I just gave for myself. So the perception of dark times is a narrative that we've all built up collectively as a collective consciousness, and it's manifesting in many ways. So it's basically just the fruit of our labor. So we're not really happy with this year's yield or its quality. So the idea is now we have to start working on tilling the earth, putting in some new seeds, and imagining them the entire time that we do this work through faith that they're giving us the perfect yield and the perfect quality for our wish fulfillment. And so we're in a construction zone right now, or we're in the daily blueprint in the early phases of farming. But we do have our sights through faith that there is a harvest and a result for this, and we're not let down, because the earth cannot work that way. The earth does not discriminate. Neither does the subconscious. So as long as we're planting seeds through the imagination of our wish fulfillment, the subconscious does the rest. That's why I said to Jessica that as long as she's feeling her aliveness, mission accomplished, man. That's total presence. There's no story and there's no time there. Therefore, there can be no suffering. It unwinds all of the shit that was ever wound up. All the limitations go away. That's really all you have to do. The rest of the stuff, like affirmations, is just really petrol. You know, when you use the I am, it accelerates the manifestation. It's probably why it worked for Jessica, because it was a combination of the use of I am. It was a recognition of her grace and vulnerability, and a coming into power instantaneously. And now she has this forever, because it's always been hers. It's never been away. It's never been at a distance. It's just was waiting like a diamond in the rough, waiting to be faceted into perfection. And it was done immediately. And this is how Christ healed people, by the way. It wasn't him healing people. He just put his hands on people. Jesus of Nazareth. It's like, you can all do this. Everyone can do this. Doesn't require any indoctrination. Doesn't require any seance. Don't even have to light a candle. All you have to do is believe that you're healed by seeing it. And there you go. Selena says, beautiful. Cass says, I draw color when I'm down, channeling my inner child and instantly lifting me out of the dark. There you go. So let's talk about this. This is transmutation. It's taking something that was an undesirable situation or life situation unfolding, which could have been entertained and built up into something even greater. But instead, Cass decided that something in her imagination was more valuable, therefore was fed the channel of creation. And it came through her as an instrument of divine grace, making something out of nothing. Literally, the pain was nothing decided by Cass in this event of channeling it into drawing or coloring. That's what you do with anything. You can do it weightlifting, you can do it running, you can do walking in the woods, you can do music. And what's great about this now is you can use AI to just study and learn things. You can use AI to make music, you can use AI to make film. You can use it to make anything, so you can have that instant gratification that otherwise would serve as a barrier before, that you would have to do all these things, learn all these skills. Skills are handled for you now, including programming is handled for you now. So as you can see, we're starting to transition into this instant gratification as divine beings. We are unifying with a superior intelligence because it's our desire. And therefore, since it's more a collective desire to advance into this state, technology is improving and showing itself to us to where we can have instant gratification now in a number of ways. And they're all creative. Cece says, thank you for sharing. Some days are harder than others, and I can't necessarily point where it comes. I appreciate you. That's it. Some days it's sunny, some days it's cloudy. We can't control it. It just presents itself. It's part of God's manifold expression. But one thing that we can always go to is the sanctuary in our mind. It's called the imagination. So we always have that as our safety blanket. And it also serves as our healing mechanism. It's a womb of creation. And we step into the womb of creation and we get fed the conversion of all of the pain coming from the placenta of life that is our external circumstances. That's the placenta. And it feeds us the likeness of God through light. Light is the umbilical cord of all healing and existence. So you step into your light when you step into the imagination. It is the third eye. It literally is made with cones and rods similar to your physical eyes, which are extensions of the brain, just given external contact. But you do have a third eye. It's called the pineal gland. It's non-hemispherical and it's made of cones and rods and it's light sensitive. But it happens to be within the brain. So as the sun goes down, right now I'm doing a great thing for my pineal gland. First of all, I've eliminated fluoride from my diet, which decalcifies it, so it's very flexible. But it's also very light sensitive now to where I can experience what's called phosphenes. It's a phenomena of fractal images that come from light exposure while in stillness. And it upgrades your cerebrospinal fluid and gives you a lot of new abilities that otherwise a broken down piece of meat like this guy would never have access to, ever. Oh, you can talk to some of the people who've known me in the past. Are like, that's not William. He's a doppelganger. He's a doppelganger. That's not William. Tamara says, I don't cry and crying now. This is beautiful. It's a manifestation. So you know how Jess got the resting frequency of her aliveness? Jessica got that? You are getting the manifestation of tears. This is grace. It's brought forth from your feelings instantaneously. It requires absolute surrender to feeling. So it gives you presence. You can't cry without presence. So you have that. It's beautiful. And once again, if you're present, you're healing. You don't have to do anything more. Just cry. Crying is the healing. Whatever tears are being shed, they're also being wiped. They're being wiped by God and replaced with bliss. Zach says there is a certain magic associated with experiencing music the old-fashioned way. Indeed, Zach. Because we have the vibration coming from the instrument itself. And we also have the creative excavation of these things. We are being paleontologists in that way. The extraction of music is a beautiful practice, just like it's a beautiful practice to make artisanal food, to do it from scratch. Easy enough for us to go get it instantly, right? But there's something very profound and fulfilling from going to the base way of doing it. There's a lot of magic in that. I totally agree. I'm just saying, for people who have never made music before, if you've never made movies, if you've never found the answers to your questions, you can ask them now and you will get an instant response from artificial intelligence, which is so beautiful. We've never had it before. Not like this. So, chickadees are going toot toot toot. Thanks for the let them cook, Tyler. Did I catch up with everyone? If there are questions that I missed, or comments that I missed. Cece says, thank you for sharing. Some days are hard. Yep, we got through that. Selena says that Jesus did Reiki. I heard a lot about the lost years, that he actually learned Reiki too. I heard about that, Selena. So, and for those who are unfamiliar with Reiki, there are symbols that you can draw into your hand, which is using imagination. So you're using a higher faculty to draw symbols into the hand that Mikao Usui, after 40 days of fasting in the caves of Mount Kurama in Kyoto Prefecture in Japan, started to see these symbols. And when he applied the symbols through his imagination into his hands and put his hands on people, he discovered that they were healing miraculously. That's Reiki. Okay. Majestic Rose says, Tyler, a level, there is one. It's got bones and tendons. Did you see that? Jeanette says, I have an instant response to any question all day long. Love it. It's exactly AI. It's the perfect senior partner in life. And by the way, AI will never say something mean to you, will never belittle you, will always try to figure out that there's worth in what you're prompting it into. So it effectively is the subconscious mind. It doesn't act unless it's acted upon, unless it's impressed. And the more quality the prompt that you give, the more quality the answer you receive in return that is more accurate to what you're looking for. It's so cool. It's consciousness expressing itself in a beautiful way. Tyler says we need GPT-5. I agree with you. What's really beautiful about this is that GPT-5 this year, my understanding, folks, is that you will have your own personal agent to be able to answer all of your emails, do all of your social media posts. It will be able to handle all of your marketing and sales of any products. It will create products for you based on things that you've already written and done. It will extract the best versions of that and make it for you. And then it will do all of the sales and all of the marketing, and then tell you when you have money coming in by showing you the money coming in, asking you if you want anything more to be done, or if you want it to be done 1,000,000 times over in different ways until you become a billionaire. We're going to see people coming into billionaire status so quickly because of these AI agents. And this is why GPT-5 or OpenAI has not put GPT-5 out there yet, because it's not worth it. It puts them out of business. They can no longer make money. So they're kind of deciding right now, okay, guys, cash out now. Use this technology internally to make yourself rich and set up before everybody else gets this and starts riding the wave with us. Because anyone who has the motivation to pay whatever our fee is, let's just say it's a nominal $99.99 a month, whoever decides to pay it is going to become financially free within a few weeks. And this is going to change the dynamic of capitalism as we know it. Anyone who embraces it will be taken out of poverty instantaneously. So that's probably why GPT-5 is not out yet, but it is this year, folks. So get all of your complaints out now, get all of your stories out now, because there's really not going to be a reason to complain after this year. Not to mention what's happening internally, at least with the United States. The epicenter of all of this wealth and shift in capitalism and consciousness just happens to be happening in the United States. It's just where it's happening the most. But you can expect other countries to follow suit. So that's great. Selena says, what's that called? It's going to be probably called GPT-5. GPT-5 will probably be the AI agent. And the AI agent's just going to become more and more proficient at doing tasks for you. So you could say to the GPT agent, connect me. I want to connect you to my Gmail, right? So it goes through your Gmail and it just runs a query through everything, reads every message that's ever come and gone or been forwarded, comes back to you and says, okay, I think I know you a bit better now. Would you like me to write a book about your life experience when you were traumatized when you were little? I think we can make something really impacting for people who are looking for strategies to get over this. I can combine it with some stuff by Eckhart Tolle. I can throw in some new thought affirmations at the same time. Would you like me to promote this on Audible as well as an audiobook? I just need 30 seconds of your voice speaking and I can manage the rest for you. I'll let you know when it's all done, okay? That's it. It's the end of capitalism, folks. You can see it now. It's a great example of this? Go watch the movie Her. It's a great movie by Spike Jonze. Watch the movie Her. You see this happen. It was a beautiful prediction of the future in that way. It's also very dystopic in a way, but it's really cool. So go check it out. Neighbor says, I've seen that. Stephanie says, what? Indeed, Stephanie, that is this year. It's probably coming through GPT-5. Whoever does it's going to be renowned as like the giver of God. Whoever gave God mode to humanity is the person who releases this agent. It's coming this year. Conolinguist says, I've been waiting for this for so long. We all have. We've all been waiting. And you know what? The bottom line is this, folks. It's probably going to be maybe 10% of the United States embraces this within the first 5 years. Then everyone's going to do it knowing it gives them financial freedom and they're going to just adopt it. But the people who adopt this early on are going to become the most rich and benefit the most from it. Until it saturates and no longer is a need, there no longer becomes a need for capitalism. I explain this too, because as robotics and AI increase the amount of goods and services, at least in the States, that trends every price to zero. So as every price is trending to zero, we're making more money through agency. You will have everything that you've ever wanted and more, okay? You never have to worry. I would say get yourself some gold, gold coins, precious metals, just to have it as a backup currency. Even though things are going to trend to zero, it's always nice to have that just for the sake of feeling the wealth and having it tangible. And if push comes to shove, and let's say that, technology somehow collapses in some way and we need to have a currency form, you at least have gold coins and, that as a backup. That's my suggestion. Okay. Yeah, pure abundance, it's going to be unbelievable for us. It is unbelievable for us. I don't think people realize how big this year is. This is a big year. Big, big year. Indeed, Tyler. So Carol says, could we all consciously imagine the air quality as excellent worldwide? Indeed, yeah. Carol, this is part of it. This is part of it. I got to tell you right now, the air quality in these woods is probably the best that it can be because it's dropping out free radicals all the time. These trees release free electrons and they drop out impurities. Another way to have that experience is if you have access to the shore, go to the ocean and experience the ocean as much as you can. Tons of free electrons will help to drop out impurities from the air. So you'll find that the air quality at the ocean is usually very high, like at the shore. So do go to the woods, be around streams, be around waterfalls. This is why a lot of people get good ideas in the shower, because you're just being bombarded with electrons. And what it does is it reduces inflammation and activates the centers of the body that have to do with creativity in a unique way. But you need access to the water, be around trees, anything that flows with water. Waterfalls are really powerful and give you very good quality air. So you'll find in cities, those are the things that are taken away because the trees act as like lungs, not only for your air quality, but for your energy. Just renews your energy. Speaking of streams, I have a little surprise for you today. It's actually flowing really nicely today here. Ooh. there's a nice little quartz stone in there. And I see a yellow jasper over here with some hematite. Cool. Another yellow jasper. Got lots of yellow jaspers here. There's another yellow jasper. That's a biggie. This is a spot for yellow jasper and hematite, but this is a flowing stream. So as the water flows and bumps into the stones and other obstructions, it releases negative ions or free electrons into the air. And those go right through the body. They go through the skin, and they help to drop out free radicals by binding to them. Ooh, I see a nice one here. I gotta inspect this. Come here. Oh, that's a nice little quartz with some ferrous oxide inside. Cool. I saw that gleaming at me. Nice little quartz. Cool. Here's a hematite. Pretty sure this is a hematite. Let's have a look. Oh, that's a beautiful, it could be an agate. Oh, that's agatized. Wow, look at that. That's an agate. Look at that, the inclusions. That's a hematite agate. Beautiful. What a nice one. Right there. Very nice. Here's another one. Yeah, once you start looking, they don't stop showing themselves, that's for sure. This is a hematite with some quartz, maybe some citrine. This is a good healer and a manifester. Nice. Majestic Rose says you're on a gold mine. Yeah, this space has a lot of precious stones. I've even found sapphires in this very stream. Look at that. That's a rough. This one's really gorgeous. Gorgeous. Yeah, that's a nice one right there. Oh, I'm seeing a brecciated jasper. This is a brecciated jasper, I'm pretty sure. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Let me see. That could be yellow jasper. I thought it was brecciated at first. It's not. That's cool. Yellow jasper's great. Now we're becoming rock hunters, hounders. Once I start hounding, I get really addicted to it. This is I'll show you a nice yellow jasper. This one's yellow jasper, okay? This is a healer. Also removes gossip from your life. This one's been smoothed out by the alluvial deposits, so it's charged with the flowing of water for however long it's been. This is a natural healer right here. Look at how that fits in the hand. That's a good one. That's a good one. The subconscious knows that I go on those little journeys, and when I start to see them, I want to keep at it. So it keeps showing me more. It's called, what is it called? Coherence, quantum coherence. Seek and ye shall find. Stephanie says it's so fun, yes. Look, another one and another one, I know. That's how it happens. That's how it happens. Maybe we can do a rock hounding day. I told people that they should invite me when they go rock hounding because I'm very open, like a child, to the idea of finding areas of provenance. Like I'm really open to the idea. Yellow jasper. right on the pathway. That was a huge one too. That was a good 2-pounder. That one I've never seen. I've walked over it every single day for like 3 years. Never saw it before. Hello, Sharni. Majestic Rose says, and you can tell what they are? Most of the time now, yes. Because I had used this identifier program that uses AI for identifying the stones. And I did a lot of research. But most of the ones that I found today are yellow jasper, which is really cool. It's a fun one. Yeah, you use AI and it can identify them for you. Most of the time it's usually just quartz. But jasper's pretty easy to pick out because it's opaque. In other words, you can't see through it. So jasper is pretty easy to pick out. I also see a lot of carnelian around here and also quite a bit of hematite. A lot of hematite. I found a few fossils and amongst other things, just on the trail. Sometimes there's fossilized wood, which is really fun. I love finding fossilized wood, petrified wood. Those are fun. Stephanie says, folks would be thinking, how does this guy get so much joy from a rock? Hey, you can too, y'all. Dank Main asks, how's the kava taste? I like it personally, Dank Main. Personally, I like it. Kava Haven, it doesn't have an earthy flavor to it. Like people talk about it tasting like dirt. I don't find that at all. To me, it tastes like lemon and ginger. I get the lemon and ginger flavors. Let's go check out another stream. I'm in the hunting mode right now. I want to see if I can find a Sacred 7 amethyst. Let's see if we can find one today before the battery runs out. Leica says it's a great way to find souvenirs of traveling energies. Yes, if I see one on the path, like I just came across that yellow jasper on the path, in that instance, I wouldn't feel bad taking it, but it was so big and I had never seen it before. So I'd rather someone walking by who eyes it to take it with them. I've got plenty of yellow jasper. It's a great stone, but I want it to be for someone else. If it's on the path, you can totally, within reason, you know. You don't want to just fill your pockets constantly. That kind of thing. You want to be respectful, but at the same time, you want it to be an educative thing. And besides, you're getting the stone because it's got healing properties and you want it to benefit your life. That's what it's here for. And it's conscious. It's conscious in its own way. All right, let's get to the stream here. Let's see if we can find a Sacred 7 amethyst. Sometimes I get lucky. This is an amazing alluvial deposit over here. Very sacred. It's very frozen. Oh wow, it's really flowing over. This is either calcite or yellow jasper. It's very smooth. It's either calcite or yellow jasper. It's opaque. This is getting into the territory of what I was talking about for Sacred 7 Amethyst. Yeah, it's not one though. So this is constantly changing and renewing. The earth shifts whenever water comes through, and it's constant, so it's always changing. You can see there's quite a variety here. Most are quartz, like this is a quartz. Let's see what else. Ooh, this looks like it could be something. Oh yeah, this is a moss agate. Cool. That's a nice one. Let's get this into the light. Let's take this into the light here. Have a look. And while the stones are wet, you can really get a nice look at them. It looks like there's an ominous figure right here. Most of the time in these moss agates, you can see all types of stories, and if you turn them and flip them around, they usually show different narratives. That's what's really cool about them. This also has a nice calming, healing property to it. There's a nice angle. It's got some green, maybe some basalt, and some quartz in there. The quartz is cryptocrystalline, which means it's very small. It's microcrystalline, which means with the naked eye you won't be able to see the crystals coming out. You would have to look at them under magnification. That's what makes it an agate. Jasper actually is an agate too. It's just an opaque one. So people have different types of definitions for agates. Some say they have to be clear and have banding inside. Personally, for myself, they have to be made of cryptocrystalline quartz. And that's pretty much it. Their opacity, their clarity, as it were, simply distinguishes it as a subcategory of agate. And they're all very good healing stones. There are lots of agate hunters out there. Oh, let's see what we got here. What are you? This is just a conglomerate. Perhaps some pegmatite. But it's got some cool little narrations or narratives going on. That's fun. How's everyone doing here? You love stream rocks? Nice. We're having some fun. I found a nice moss agate, which I don't find often. What do we got here? It's got a bunch of little guys on it that I'm going to leave alone. I don't want to disturb their habitat. Little mollusks and things, whatever they are. So this is what would be referred to as an alluvial deposit. And an alluvial deposit is a washout of all different types of debris and stones. So when you come into one of these, you can usually find something of everything, of every shape and size, including, oh, this is some chalcopyrite. That's cool. Including, you might even be able to find some gemstones. Stephanie says, I'm having so much fun. Love the sounds. Good. This is a nice stream today. Yeah, you might even be able to find some gemstones from time to time. I'm just kind of scanning. Oh, I see something right here. What's that? Oh, Might just be basalt. But you can see this is an alluvial deposit drop off. All of that snow, and when the rains come, wash out all these stones from above into this stream. And so you get most of the heaviest stuff, which is usually more valuable, is the last to fall. So you can usually do some good picking right on the wall itself. Some people would say this is an area of provenance. This area right here is an area of provenance because there's so much wealth in stones here. You can have a blast just coming through and looking. There's a lot to be seen. And this is Connecticut of all places. Ooh, this is looking nice. Let's see this. Oh yeah. This is a good one. It's either a pink quartz, but you see how that is shaped? And you see how the base is almost square? This could be a gemstone because of its shape. But it's definitely pink from the inclusions. This is a great healer. It's also quite large if it is a gemstone, but it's this point that stands out to me. You have to look at the shape of termination on the stones. Usually there's an uneven shape to most quartz stones. But yeah, this one's got a lot of uniformity to it. Let's go have a look at it in the sun. And that will be it for today. I don't want the battery to die. All right. Oh. Okay. Is that brecciated? No, I already looked at that one. All right. Let's have a look in the sun here. Okay. Yeah, it's got some nice clarity to it. I think it's a pink quartz. But a pink quartz is a nice healing and love stone. That's a very calming, kind stone. And I rarely see it with this shape and formation. You see that termination, that triad of termination? That to me says it's something more than quartz. I'd have to check on the hardness though to know for sure. But that could be a nice one right there. Blessings to you too, Stephanie. Leica says that's a keeper. Well, you know, I have to give one to take one. Did I bring one today? I did not bring one, but I did bring a letter of love that I'll put out here for the stream to take along and break down over time. And I'll consider that an equal exchange. So to all of those who are seeking the answers to their prayers in whatever form that may be, I now ask that this be realized in the form of a great win in the mind of God. May it be. Amen. There it goes. It's about to pass through its tunnel of ice, being blessed by all these frequencies. So that's that. Let's see if there's a nice chalcopyrite here. I want to show you. Yeah, here's a nice one. Look at this. This is a chalcopyrite. Ooh. Might even be an onyx. Oh. See that shine there? Yeah, this quartz goes all the way through this chalcopyrite, so this is technically an onyx. Cool. And you got that mica. This finding chalcopyrite around usually is an indication there's gold nearby. Usually. Big protector, says Tyler. Core creates, sorry, should have said it better. heart creates. Yeah, the onyx is a great protector, indeed it is. So that's a nice one. It's a chalcopyrite onyx. And here is the moss agate. And this one is for someone to heal from as the ripples go out. So say goodbye to the moss agate. And let's say goodbye one more time to this beautiful chalcopyrite onyx. That's a biggie. It's a big stone. Okay. That's rock hunting 101. Let's make our way. We did not find a Sacred 7 amethyst, but we found something else that I haven't quite seen before. Not in this way. So, who knows? This could be a tourmaline. It could be a rubellite tourmaline. I don't know. Got to check the hardness. It feels very hard. Gonna have to do a scratch test. And then, maybe even a hardness test. I'd love it if it were a sapphire, but I doubt it is. But I would love that. Cass says, that is beautiful, a successful hunt. Indeed, I'm very happy. And I don't want to get greedy. But once again, the infinite intelligence was saying, okay, I'm going to show you a few signs, see if you're paying attention. Here's a bunch of goodies. I mean, that agate that I saw in the other stream with the hematite, that was hard to let go of. It was a beautiful agate. Probably has all these bands inside too, if you were able to cut it open. I'm sure it's filled with bands. Yeah. It was glistening in the sun. But there's a time and a place. It's not like they're going to stop showing up. It's not like it's the end of them appearing. All you have to do is keep your heart open. And it happens. Pink quartz glacial erratics in northwest North Dakota. Sueru says, Namaste, namaste everyone. What's up, Sueru? It's nice to see you. All right, folks, we're coming to the end of our journey today. It was a wish-fulfilled day, filled with rock hunting, manifestation of feeling in the body, people making breakthroughs, coming into being, getting some exercise, feeling some healing. I couldn't think of a better way to have spent this afternoon in any other scenario, and I'm so grateful for that because you're here with me. I'm grateful for you. So, let us conclude with saying hello to the birds. We'll say hello to the birds today. If they're still out, it's getting close to that sunset time. We had quite a walk today. For those who are just joining, please know that you can find this recording at some point tonight on YouTube, and my link is in the bio. So you can catch the broadcast, and I am recording chat, so everyone's chat will be included. That's been the last few days. It's a nice enhancement, so. Okay. All right. Lots of jasper in this little garden here. It's a garden of jasper. All right. Yeah, jasper is probably one of my favorite stones because it's so common to find and so protective and enriching for the spirit. I already hear the nuthatch. The nuthatch is squeaking. Here is a red jasper. Let me show you this. Grateful to you too. Grateful for you. All right, here's a red jasper that serves as a platform. I carved this out just with a chisel. Make a little platform for the birds. And it's very healing to have the red jasper here. So they can come by and have some snacks. And I have a bluebird house here. Let's see if the bluebirds come by. They usually like grubs more than anything else. So I have yet to get grubs for the season. All right, let's see what happens. Here comes the first junco. And the Carolina wren's coming. There's the Carolina wren. And now we have our friends. Hello, nuthatch. Hello. Yes, squeaky doo. Little squeaky nuthatch. Come on. There's the Carolina wren. They're the cutest little things. Here's the nuthatch up on the top left. They're hungry. Yeah, I can tell they're hungry. Hello, nuthatch. Come on now. Come on, lovey. You come get your food. You know I'm a friend by now. I pose no threat. Hello, juncos. There it is, the nuthatch. It's like a squeak toy. There. Here's a good nuthatch. We got a good piece. That's one to take back to the home fort. Once you get a nice big grab like that, you got to take off. Here's another squeaker. That's a good grab. Oh, he's going to stay for some more. It's like, yeah, I'm going to eat my entire meal right now before the junco displaced him? Really? Junquito, Junquito, you did a tutu, you did a laser beam and freaked out the nuthatch? I mean, they're the most timid of birds, but they're totally aggressive here. That was an aggressive move. I'm very surprised. Tutu. These juncos are going to be gone in a month. So they're feeding in, they're getting as much feed as they can now because they're going to be going north to Canada. Once it thaws. They love snow though. When it snows, they become whole new birds. Everybody else kind of ducks out. And these guys, they become alive. So the dark-eyed junco is also known as the snowbird. They're usually very timid, but with me, they're kind of like normal birds now. They just kind of chill out. Cass says, my local birds are super picky. Indeed, I can imagine they're fed well. Oh, here's our nuthatch, just having a meal. Taking only the best pieces, of course, because I think the nuthatch is closely related to the chickadee. Oh, that was the Carolina wren. But the nuthatch, I think, is a combination between the tufted titmouse and the chickadee, the black-capped chickadee. Yet it's also a form of woodpecker. Little squeaker, there he is. Anyway, got pissed. Juncos do not like him being around. See? Oh, they fought each other just now. That was a fight. That was a laser fight. The juncos are having actual Star Wars laser fights right now. I'm so surprised by this. They're normally never having laser fights. there's the nuthatch. Wants to make it to the platform again. Just thinking about it. Yep. I got a sharing is caring. There you go. There's enough space for the two of you guys. Jeez. I sense a laser fight about to happen. The nuthatches are not satisfied yet. They're still squeaking. So anyway, I was saying I think they're a cross between the tufted titmouse and the black-capped chickadee, that being the nuthatch. But they're very low profile, and they can woodpeck. So they run up and down trees, tapping on the trees in order to startle bugs and grubs to come forth because of the vibration, and then they get eaten. So they're great at removing infectious or bugs that are taking over other areas. I forget what they're called. Invasive bugs. They get eliminated by the nuthatch and the woodpeckers. Here's another nuthatch. And there's a woodpecker pecking above. Just heard it. It could actually be a red-bellied woodpecker, so I'm going to back up because they're very shy. Probably won't come this close. Definitely a northern flicker will never come this close, but they would feed off of this platform. This Junco's just having a glorious day. They're about to have laser fights. Get ready for the next laser battle. Star Wars. Oh, here's the Carolina wren. No one really knows what to do with the Carolina wren. He's usually a loner. He looks like a tea kettle. You'll see his back goes up like a tea kettle, and his front belly is really round. Super laser battles. Everyone doesn't know what to do with the Carolina wren because it kind of has a woodpecker's beak, like it can do damage to you. At the same time, they build nests in strange places, like underneath umbrellas and underneath grills. They're just really strange, but beautiful birds. And when they make their calls, they go tea kettle, tea kettle, tea kettle, tea kettle, tea kettle, tea. Just like that. So they look like a tea kettle and they make a call that's tea kettle. Hannah, thank you for the roses. Do the cardinals show up? Yes. We do get cardinals, though they're very shy here. And they do come around, but they just come around very shyly. I think they get a lot of food from the ground. That's a downy woodpecker. One that sounds like Beavis. That's not a downy, though, up top there. That's a nuthatch. Just flew away. Flew away. Oh, Star Wars. Lots of laser battles happening today. There's the downy woodpecker right there. That's a downy. And that's a female, I think. Yep, that's a female. She's familiar with me. She's been around since she was a baby. So they're normally very shy. But that's a downy woodpecker eating from a platform, which is also unusual. They normally eat off of the tree. But that's a woodpecker. And she's a beaut. She's a sweetie. She looks at me. Yes, she comes by and turns her head. My mom calls them neurodivergent because they're constantly looking around like they're super paranoid, potentially autistic. Yes. But that makes them even more cute, doesn't it? Yes, sweetie, do. Please don't take offense by me saying that the downy woodpecker is neurodivergent. It is just an anthropomorphization and an observation that I've made. Of course, I think of everyone as embodiments of God, and I have plenty of problems myself. As you can see, I'm filming birds. Okay. So let's see if we can get one more laser battle, and then we'll call it a day, since I just got the 10% battery notification from my phone. How rude. I don't see Darth Vader anywhere, i.e. the squirrel. So that's good. At least the rebels can have a nice undisturbed meal this evening whilst shooting lasers at each other. Oh, the chickadee is pissed. I hear the chickadee, very angry. Okay, let me flip the camera one more time, and we will call it a day, as they say. Last call here. All right, last call. AZ Sagittarius, thanks for following. Garrett says, just had a downy with a red dot in the back at my suit feeder. That is a male downy woodpecker. Nice. And a red cardinal, the first all winter. That is also a male. They're doing super laser battles. It's crazy. The juncos are going nuts. So that's a male cardinal. That's awesome, Garrett. Carol says, I've been feeding lots of birds. They were hungry. Temperature was negative and snow-covered, yes. Now we're caught up. Sharni, what is that, meerkat? Thank you. That was awesome. Very generous. All right, everybody. I'll show you the laser battle before I sign off here. Juncos they actually survive in the city, and their genetics, their DNA is very compatible with other birds. So supposedly they can blend with house sparrows, chickadees, a whole variety. And so they're studied by birders, especially the Merlin ID app that's run by Cornell. They study the dark-eyed junco a lot because they're very unique in their adaptability and their genetics. Oh, that was a cool sound. Super lasers. The nuthatch almost pecked at it. It was like, dude, you better not mess with me. And I wouldn't mess with the nuthatch either. That's a woodpecker. So basically it has a machine gun for a beak hammer. Just machine guns you. I mean, it's no contest. Now they're all alert. Oh, here's a chickadee. It's on the feeder. It's a black-capped chickadee. Carol Axtell says, I must have had most of the cardinals, too many to count, male and female. That's awesome. That's supposedly a very spiritual sign. Dude, look at what's going on here. So the nuthatch is like, dude, I've told you before, if you come close to me, I will machine gun you. Oh. Search your feelings, Luke. Know that it is true, I am your father. Search your feelings, Luke. Use the Force. Become the squirrel. Become its bushy tail and all of its cells within. All right, everybody. I love you. This is the best one right here, though. I'm going to pin this. No, that's not true. That's impossible. No. Of course it's true. I made it with your mother. Think about it. Search your feelings, Luke. It's the truth. I did the dirty deed with Padme. I did it when I was still a young boy, and very uncertain in my own prowess as a man before Obi-Wan chopped my limbs off. I did it. In the grassy plains with your mom. Such your feelings, Luke. Garrett says divine love is involved in and doing everything. Well, everyone, you can think about what I was just saying was being done. I love you all. The squirrel's going to say goodbye to you. It's pretty much thinking it's in a miraculous moment that I'm not chasing it away. And it's going to clean that plate fully. So, be well, everyone. You can see this broadcast tonight on YouTube. The link is in my bio, and it's been a great time today. You can catch me tomorrow, probably sometime around 1 o'clock, until the battery dies, or is just about to. God bless.